This is my life. This is my life before I met Jesus Christ. Before the YouTube videos. Before I reached millions of people for Jesus' kingdom. Before I recorded classic spiritual rap albums. Let me take y'all back to how it all started. When I get to my childhood, it was like maybe, 12 people living in the house. I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana. It was like 12 of us. It was me, my uncles, my aunties, my grandmother, my grandfather, my mom, my stepdad. I mean, it was a house full. A house full, man. And when you're really young like that and you're growing up in a house that's just full of people, there is no privacy, there is no peace. And I remember this like it was yesterday. I remember when we first moved in Gentilly, in the Ninth Ward in New Orleans. And my next door neighbor was Russell. And I remember when we first moved in, Russell came knocking on the door and he was asking, can I come outside? He wanted to meet me. Can I come outside? And at that time, man, I was a little, I don't know what it was. I guess I was a little shy to go outside and play with Russell. I guess I was nervous. And my mom was like, boy, Tireo, go outside and play with that boy. My mom made me go outside and play with Russell. And when I went outside and, played with him, me and Russell just got cool instantly. It's like God already had him there planted for me. It's like God already had him planted there for me so we can become best friends. And after me and Russell got cool, that was it. I mean, that was it. We became best friends instantly. We went to Claiborne Elementary School together, man. And when I tell you, me and this dude was close, we was close. We did everything together, man. We played basketball together. We rode bikes together. We played with our toys together. We played our video games together. We had the regular Nintendo. We had the regular Nintendo, the first Nintendo, not the Super Nintendo. We had the first Nintendo. And man, we had so much fun, growing up together, man. And I can honestly say Russell was my childhood best friend. He was definitely my childhood best friend. I had other friends, but the connection that I had with Russell was strong, I had other friends, I had Blue as a friend in elementary school. I had Walden as a friend in elementary school. And I had Jason as a friend in elementary school as well. But Russell stood out from all of them. He was my childhood best friend. He was definitely my childhood best friend, man. Russell was tough. He was tough. He wasn't no punk. He wasn't scary. He was tough, man. And he had a lot of heart. Like, dude had mad heart. And what was crazy was because out of all our friends, Russell was the only white kid. Out of all our friends, Russell was the only white kid. And he had heart. He was tough, man. He was loyal, man. He was my childhood best friend. And to keep it real with you all, if I can rewind time, I would keep it all the same. I would definitely keep it all the same. Like, off the rip, I would definitely just keep it all the same. Me and Russell, man, we just had that bond, we was close. And what happened was, me and this dude was so close we actually got kept back together in the first grade. We both failed the first grade twice together. Like, that's how close we was as best friends. To whereas, when you're in elementary school, you got first grade, second grade, third grade. Me and Russell were so close in elementary school to where we failed classes together because he did not want to go to the next grade without me. That's crazy. He did not want to go to the next grade without me, so he failed first grade with me twice, 2 years in a row. He failed first grade with me, and what happened was, after our parents punished us, after he got punished for the whole summer, and after I got punished for the whole summer, that was it. We just started passing. But yeah, man, dude was loyal, close. It's crazy, man. The bond me and him had was crazy. We used to always walk to school together. We used to always wake up early in the morning, like around 7 something in the morning. Like around 7 o'clock in the morning, we used to always walk to school together. And we would walk home from school together every day. Every single day. We would walk to school together and we would walk from school together. Yeah, man. Dude had heart, man. Dude really, 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 really just had heart. That's my childhood best friend. And the crazy part about it was, as we got older and we graduated from elementary, when we graduated from elementary, Russell's mom had got a job promotion at the hospital, so he had to move. So they had to move out of, New Orleans. They had to move out of New Orleans. His mama had got a job promotion and he had to bounce. They had to move. And I remember when they was moving, man, it just broke my heart, because Russell came up to me and he said, T, my mama's moving, we moving. And it just crushed me, man. It just broke my heart. But when I look back, I understand why Russell had to move. That basically was God removing him from the neighborhood, because we was about to grow up. And as we was growing up, it was about to get real. So God removed Russell first. He got Russell out of the neighborhood. His mama got a promotion on a job and his family left. But that was God getting Russell out. That was God getting Russell out of Gentilly, because it was about to get real as we all was growing up. And before we graduated in elementary school, man, it was a lot of, cool experiences, bad experiences, and also fun experiences. You in elementary school, and like I said, it was me and Russell was best friends. Me, Blue, and Walden, we had a rap group. And I had a lot of girlfriends in elementary school, man. Like, I had a lot of girlfriends in elementary school. I broke my virginity in elementary school. No lie. I broke my virginity in elementary school. Man, I mean, I went with all these girls in elementary school, from Rebecca to Janae. I broke my virginity with a girl named Javina. You know, it was some pretty girls in elementary school. I straight tell you no lie, man. And I remember when I was young, all my friends, they used to come to me and they used to ask me, can I hook them up with girls? You know, I had the girls, man. I always had the girls since elementary school. And they all used to come to me and ask me, can I hook them up with girls, man? And it was crazy. And another guy in the neighborhood that was childhood friends with us was D Black. D Black he was toxic from the beginning, man. He was straight up toxic from the beginning. You know, just gonna be honest about it. You know, his heart was not in the place of where our hearts was. He was toxic from the beginning and he was already cursed. You know, I'm not gonna say his real name because right now he's actually doing life in prison. But we called him D Black. And when we was childhood friends, man, it was just trouble followed him. Like curse, trouble followed him, man. It's like his mind was already made up on how he wanted to live his life as a kid. Now remember, we in elementary school. We in elementary school, and D Black's mind was already made up on how he wanted his future to go. Literally, man. He was always getting into fights, and the fights that he would get into, the majority of the fights that he got in, he started. Like it's a difference when you get into a fight and you don't start it. But mostly every single thing that I've seen D Black do, from a kid to our teenage life, he started it. He started it. He was just toxic, man. I remember one time I had a birthday party. My mama threw me a party when I was a kid, and all my friends all my friends literally came to the party. It was crazy, man. All my childhood friends in elementary school came to the party. And I was shocked about it, because I honestly thought nobody was going to come to the party. I honestly thought no one was going to come to the party due to jealousy, because I had all the girls in elementary school. But everyone came to the party, including D Black. Russell was there, Blue was there, Walden was there, the girls from the elementary school were there. Everybody came to the party, and D Black came to the party, and he ruined my party. He ruined my party by beating up a kid in elementary school named Norman. D Black beat up Norman. Norman was like a heavy set kid, but Norman was a nerd, man. Like Norman was a straight up nerd. And D Black beat him up he just beat him up for no reason. He beat him up for no reason. Norman is crying, and D Black is just standing up punching him in his face. Ruined my whole party. Like, remember, we in elementary school. You know what I'm saying? We in elementary school. This dude D Black ruined my party, and I had to break up the fight. I'm like D Black, calm down. Don't beat him up. He beat Norman up for nothing. For nothing. When I look back at it, maybe he beat Norman up because Norman was a nerd. I don't know. But Norman was a straight, when I tell y'all nerd, Norman was a nerd. Straight A's, man. Acing everything like it was nothing. D Black beats him up for no apparent reason. Like I said, trouble followed D Black like all of the time. I remember one time, though, this broke my heart. I remember one time, me and Russell was coming home from school. Me and Russell was walking home from school because me and him was best friends, and we walked home every day. And I remember this like it was yesterday. D Black, he beat Russell up for no reason. He beat Russell up for no reason. He didn't even have to do that. Like, he was bullying, you know what I'm saying? And I have to say this, man. D Black was like, he was like the bully in elementary school. He was like the elementary school bully. He was the bully. All of the kids was afraid of him, and he was like the bully. He was literally like the bully. And I remember he beat Russell up for no reason. Me and Russell was walking home from school, and D Black just, he just saw Russell, and I guess he was picking on Russell at the time. I guess he was picking on Russell. And he just started punching Russell in the head, man. And when he punched Russell in the head, he ran off. He punched Russell in the head a couple times. He beat him up and he ran off. Just ran up the street. And mind you, this is elementary school, y'all. We are kids, man. You know what I'm saying? This is elementary school, and this is happening. Like that type of demonic behavior that a kid can carry from when they're young. D Black already had it in him. He was already there. He was toxic from the beginning. He was cursed from the beginning. He was already evil and corrupted. And I remember he beat Russell up for no reason. And I'm standing there like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you doing this, man? And he just started punching Russell in the head. And then D Black ran off. Russell was crying. And me and Russell was best friends. So I'm like, you all right, bro? He ain't need to do that to you. Like, he ain't need to do that. And I walked Russell home, man. I walked him home. Me and him both were sad. Like we both was just sad. But D Black was the toxic one, man. He was the one who was already on the path of destruction. He was already on that path of destruction. Like if you hung around D Black, you was bound to get into trouble or get into something that was going to get you in trouble. I remember another time, it was me, D Black, and it was Walden, and we had bikes, and we was on our bikes riding in the hood, and it was this old white lady. She had a swimming pool in her backyard. She had a swimming pool in her backyard, and D Black decided to, manipulate us to go sneak into the woman's pool to go swimming. Now remember, we still in elementary. This is all happening in elementary school. So the Black, he manipulated us to sneak in the pool with him to go swimming. So me and Walden, we snuck in the pool with him. Next thing you know, we in the pool, we jumping in the pool, we swimming, right? This was in the summertime too. We swimming in the pool. Now, we not supposed to be in this lady's backyard. Now remember, this woman could have shot us, she could have killed us, anything could have happened because we trespassing onto her property. We not supposed to be swimming in this woman's backyard, so we trespassing at this point. And next thing you know, now we thought the woman was gone. We thought that the woman was gone, but she wasn't gone. She was in the home. Next thing you know, man, the police roll up. The police roll up. They tell us I think it was two white cops. It was two white cops. They roll up. They tell us to get out the pool. We getting out the pool, man. We scared. We nervous because we don't know what's about to go on. The only thing that we know is we in trouble. But remember, we getting into this trouble because we hanging with D Black. The police take our bikes and they put our bikes in the trunk of their car and they drive us all home one by one. They drop me off first. They dropped me off home first. When they dropped me off home, my mom and them outside, man. My mom was upset. She's shocked. I gets into the house. Automatically, I'm on punishment. Automatically, I'm punished. I'm punished for the rest of the summertime. I can't go outside no more. And my mama tore my butt up, yo. My mama whooped me. My mama whooped me when I was taking a bath. I was sitting in the bathtub, right? I was sitting in the bathtub. My mama came in the bathroom with a belt and she whooped my butt. She tore me up, man. She whooped the living crap out of me, bro. And as she was whipping me, she was telling me the police could have killed us. The police could have did this to us, and she tore me up. I was punished for the whole summertime. But remember, all of this happened because we hanging with D Black. D Black manipulated us to go sneak into that woman's yard. When I knew we shouldn't have been in there. We shouldn't have been in there, man. But that's the type of kid he was, man. D Black was already, like I said, he was already on the path of destruction. He was bullying kids for no reason, beating up kids for no reason. He bullied Russell, beat up Norman just for no reason, man. And I already knew that I had to stop hanging with him. I already knew that. I already knew I had to stop hanging with him. All of this is happening in elementary school. That was the crazy part about it. That was the insane part about it. All of this is happening in elementary school, man. When I was young, man, like I say, the childhood friends that I had, I had Russell, Blue, had Walden, and it was another guy in the neighborhood that we called D Black. But me, Blue, and Walden, we started rapping. We started a rap group. Me, Blue, and Walden, we started a rap group, man. And the first rap song that we came up with it was called Chillin' in the Hood. It was called Chillin' in the Hood. It was me, Walden, and Blue. It was called Chillin' in the Hood. And what was crazy, because back then when I was young, my rap name used to be Skittles. my rap name used to be Skittles, man. I don't know what made me come up with that, but I was Skittles. I think Blue was Bamboo and Walden was Baloo. It was something like that. And we had a rap group, man. We started rapping. And when we was rapping, man, I just advanced. Like, I was the best one in the group. And what happened was I taught Blue how to rap. Blue wanted to rap just like me, and I taught him how to rap like me. And Walden, he had his own style. You know what I'm saying? He just had his own style. And we started a rap group, man. You know, we used to be rapping, in the neighborhood when we was young, just rapping and rapping and rapping and rapping. And we got popular in the neighborhood. Everyone knew us from rap. Everybody knew us from rap in the neighborhood, you know. And started recording songs, man. We started recording songs. I remember, I remember when Walden and Blue recorded a song, but I wasn't featured on it. They went to the studio and they recorded their first song together. Like, it was dope. They recorded their first song together. I wasn't on it though, but they recorded their first song together, and they was spitting, man. They was spitting on the song. Blue was spitting, Walden was spitting on the song. It was dope. And then after that, later on, that's when I recorded my first song. And the first song that I recorded was a song called Ordinary Pain. And I basically recorded this song with Collins, a singer from Motown Records named Collins England. And he was a friend of my stepdad's. And my stepdad introduced me to Collins. One time my stepdad was at the park, playing basketball with some of his homies, and he introduced me to Collins. And I met up with Collins. I was around probably about 13. I probably was 13 years old. I probably was either 12 or 13 when I met Collins. I met Collins in the studio. I went up to meet him in the studio, and the first song that I recorded was a song called Ordinary Pain. And Collins was singing on the hook, man. It was so dope. That was the first song I probably recorded when I was like around 12, 13 years old. Yeah. And Collins already had a record deal with Motown Records. He was already popular. He was an R&B singer, man. Dude can sing, like dude can blow. Collins was already popular. And the funny part about it, I remember when I met Collins in the studio. When I first met him in the studio, he introduced me to Mac from No Limit. And at the time, this was way before Mac signed with No Limit. This was before Mac signed with Master P and No Limit. But I met Mac in the studio on Canal Street. Collins, he introduced me to Mac. And when I went into the room, Mac was on these keyboards or something, man. Mac was making beats. He had music playing while he was making beats, man. And Collins, he introduced me to Mac. And I remember when I started spitting, I remember when I started rapping, Mac was just staring at me with this look, man. He was staring at me with this look. And that was the last time I saw Mac. That was the last time I saw Mac. After that, years went on. Mac, signed with Master P. He signed with No Limit. Came out with a couple albums, and then he went to jail. Yeah, he went to jail. He spent like a decade in jail. But I met Mac when I was around 12, 13 years old. Yeah, it was a pretty, dope experience, man. Yeah. And AK had a cousin named Peanut, and Peanut was in one of the rap groups that we formed too. And Peanut got killed. You know what I'm saying? Peanut got killed, man. Peanut was real dope in rapping. He was cool, dude. Peanut got killed, you know. And what happened with his story was Peanut was getting off the bus, coming home from school, and a dude just ran up on Peanut and just shot him in the face, man. And Peanut died in the hospital. He was AK's cousin, and we all used to rap together. Peanut used to be busting the floors and everything, but Peanut never got the chance to record music with us. He never got that chance because he died too soon. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happened with Peanut. Rest in peace, Peanut. Another crazy experience, man, that I experienced as a kid in my childhood was when I was being molested by my grandfather. As I still was in elementary school, I was being molested by my grandfather. No one in the house knew. No one in the house knew that my grandfather was molesting me. And at the time, it was like it was like 15 of us in the home. Me, my uncle, my aunties, my mom, my stepdad. It was a lot of us in the home. And as I was going to elementary school, no one knew that my grandfather was molesting me. No one knew. No one knew. I kept it to myself. I didn't, I didn't tell nobody, but yeah, like I was being molested for, you know, a good minute. My grandfather was molesting me for a good minute, man. And back then when I was a kid, I didn't even know what molestation was. I'm in elementary school. I didn't even know how to spell it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even know what that was. As a kid, when you were young, you don't know what these things are. You don't know. You think this is normal. You know what I'm saying? So when I was a kid, I didn't think too much of it because I'm young. I'm in elementary school. I don't know the ins and outs of all of this stuff. I'm a kid, man. But when I look back at my life, yeah, I was literally being molested by my grandfather when I was in elementary school. I kept it to myself for years, and I remember when we graduated from high school. I mean, we graduated from elementary. I remember when we graduated from elementary and I had to go to junior high. I had to go to junior high because it's elementary school, it's junior high, then it's high school. So when I graduated from elementary school, my mom and my stepdad, moved out the house, and they moved closer to my junior high school. So this was when I got my first room to myself because my mom and my stepdad moved, my other uncles and aunties moved, and everyone started, kind of splitting up, going their own way, right? So it was me, my mom, and my stepdad. My mama had a 2-bedroom apartment, and we lived around the junior high school that I was going to. My mama moved in the 7th ward, and in the 7th ward we lived right around the corner from the St. Bernard projects. And the junior high school I went to Gregory Junior High School. I moved out of the neighborhood, where I met, Blue, Walden, D Black, Russell, I moved. So when I was going to junior high school, that was when my grandfather died. He caught the cancer. The same grandfather that was molesting me was the same grandfather that I saw die of cancer. Yeah. I saw it happen to him. Yeah. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember it so well. One day it was me, my mom, and my stepdad, and we were sitting on the porch, you know, at the apartment complex. And I think my mom was cooking. I think my mom was cooking or something like that. And my stepdad was sitting on the porch with the radio, and I was just on the porch chilling. And my grandfather, he started walking up the stairs because we lived on the second floor in an apartment complex. We lived on the second floor. So he started walking up the stairs, and he was like holding his chest. He couldn't breathe. He was dying. He was dying. So as he was walking up the stairs holding his chest and he couldn't breathe, my stepdad immediately jumped out the chair and rushed him to the hospital. Yeah, my stepdad immediately jumped out the chair and rushed him to the hospital, and next thing you know, he had cancer. Yeah, he had cancer. He had cancer. And I remember when I went to the hospital to see him one time with my mom and my stepdad. We went to the hospital to see him. I saw him one time, and he was literally dying of cancer. And No one still knew what happened when I was a kid. No one knew that he was molested, that he used to molest me when I was younger. No one knew that. No one knew he used to molest me when I was in elementary school. But the last time I saw him in the hospital, and he had cancer, and his body was just drawing up, man. I mean, he was dying. Cancer was killing him. And then I remember it like it was yesterday. One morning, I woke up in the morning, and I was getting ready to go to school, because I used to walk to my junior high school. I used to walk to school. I was getting ready to go to school, and my mama was getting ready to go to work. And my mama told me, she said JoJo passed away. Yeah, we used to call him JoJo. You know, his name was Joseph Christopher, but we used to call him JoJo. And she said, T, JoJo died. He passed away. And I just was like kind of shook for a minute, you know. And I just walked to school thinking about it. As I was walking to school, I was thinking about it, and I was like, dang, you know, it was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy, you know. He died of cancer. Yep. That man. And I remember it like it was yesterday. We were supposed to open up for Puff. We were supposed to open up for Puffy and Biggie. This was when Biggie was alive. This was when Biggie was alive, and Bad Boy Records was on tour. Puffy and them had a tour. It was Puffy, it was Lil Kim, and it was Biggie. They had a tour, and they was coming to New Orleans. They was on their way to New Orleans on the tour, and we was going to open up for Biggie. We was going to open up for Puff and Big at the time. I don't know how baby girl got this connect, but she had this connect, man. And she had it already set up, and she was like, y'all about to open up for Puffy, y'all about to open up for Biggie. And we was like, what? And it was Puff, Big, and Lil Kim. We was about to open up for them. So we shocked at this point. We like, yo, we about to open up for them, because at this, you know, remember back then, man, you know, Puffy and them was like big. You know, they icons back then. They running the music game back then. They worldwide. You know, they worldwide. Puffy had Biggie, he had Faith, he had Lil Kim, he had 112, he had Total. They running it, man. Like, these are platinum artists at the time. And we just some little local artists in New Orleans, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we just some little local kids in New Orleans who rapping. We local. And it got canceled. The tour got canceled, man. We were so shocked, yo. I don't know what happened, but we heard it on the radio. We was heartbroken, bro. The tour got canceled, bro. And we was like, yo, what the hell? Like, we was just gone behind it, bro. Like, we was broken. We was broken, bro, because we really, really thought we was about to open up for them, bro. But God had other plans, man. He had other plans. And I'm gonna tell y'all this. This is what's crazy. I remember this like this was yesterday. He had other plans. And I'm gonna tell y'all this. This is what's crazy. I remember this like this was yesterday. I remember one time it was me, AK, and Blue, and we was in the mall. We was in this mall, and we met this man. We met this man named Awesome. This man name was Awesome. And this man, he looked at us and he told us, he said, I know all y'all future. He said, I know all y'all lives. And we was like, what? Like, what? You don't know us, you know, we kids. But I honestly think that this man was an angel sent from God, because he literally prophesied our future over us, and everything that he said about us came true. I remember he looked at Walden, he looked at AK, and he said, you're gonna have a daughter. Now remember, we kids, man. Like, you know, like we in, you know, like we in elementary, junior high at this time. You know, like we going from elementary to junior high at this time. We kids. And he looked at AK, and he said, you're gonna have a daughter. And when AK got older, he really had a daughter. He looked at me. He looked at me and he said, you're gonna be a preacher. And I was like, what? Preacher? Like, man, I don't want to be no preacher. He looked at me, he said, you're gonna be a preacher. I was like, what? And then he looked at Blue and he didn't say anything. He looked at Blue and he didn't say anything. And The reason why he didn't say anything when he looked at Blue, because he already saw Blue's future. Blue grew up to be a killer. Yes, Blue grew up to be a killer, and he saw that. And when he saw that, he didn't tell Blue anything. He just looked at Blue and he didn't say nothing. And we was like, what he gonna be? What he gonna be? He didn't say anything. And I started kind of drifting away. You know what I'm saying? Things started to fall apart. And I started kind of drifting away. Blue wasn't, he wasn't on the album or anything. And I remember when Blue and AK had a fight. They had a fight, man. They had a fight. They got into it, and they had a terrible, terrible, terrible fight. The fight was bad. It was bad, bad. And Blue, Blue he got tired of AK hating on him. He got tired of the jealousy. He got tired of the hatred, and they got into it, man. And they had a bad fight, bro. Like, the fight was bad, and I didn't see the fight because at this time I wasn't living in Gentilly anymore. I wasn't living in the Night Wall no more because my mom and them had moved. And man, I heard about the fight, and people was telling me that Blue beat him up very, very badly. People were saying that Blue beat him up very, 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 very badly. Like, I mean, bad, bad. He beat him up bad, bad. To where, face all messed up and stuff. And at the time, AK was rolling with D Black. AK was rolling with D Black at the time. They just was rolling. So, that was just nothing but trouble. And after Blue and AK had this fight, I remember Blue telling me a story. He said that AK tried to kill him. He said one night, Blue told me, he said one night he was walking home. I guess they was hanging out smoking weed or whatever, and Blue was walking home, and he said AK tried to kill him. He said AK chased him through the alleyway with a butcher knife. He told me this. He said AK chased him through the alley with a butcher knife. And he said some kind of way AK fell. He fell, but he literally tried to kill Blue. Yeah, he tried to stab Blue to death. He tried to stab Blue to death. He chased him through the alleyway with a butcher knife, man. I wasn't around to see it, but Blue, this is the story that Blue gave me on the phone. And he was like, T, bro, he tried to kill me. And I'm like, what? He said, man, he was chasing me through the alleyway with a butcher knife at nighttime. I'm like, whoa, yeah. He literally tried to kill Blue. I had met Warren Mays. I met Warren Mays, and Warren Mays was a big time baller in New Orleans, man. This dude, he was that guy before Birdman, before Master P. Warren Mays was that guy. Warren Mays was that guy, and I met Warren Mays in New Orleans. A homeboy of mine gave me his card. A homeboy of mine, this guy that I also knew named Amin. Amin had a card, and he was telling me to call Warren Mays. And at the time, Warren Mays had a record label called Bomb Records. He had a record label called Bomb Records. I mean, Warren Mays was a baller, man. Dude owned nightclubs and everything. Dude had BMWs, Lexuses. Like, every time I saw Warren Mays, this dude had the expensive throwback jerseys on. Dude was a baller, man. Straight up baller. And I remember when I called him. I called him up, and Warren Mays picked up the phone. He was like, Bomb Records. And I introduced myself to him, and I was telling him that I rapped. And he told me, he said, spit something over the phone. So I spit something over the phone, man. I spit something over the phone, and Warren Mays was like, you signed, man. I spit stuff for Warren Mays over the phone, and Warren Mays was like, you signed, man. Where you live? So I told him where I lived, man. Warren Mays came to pick me up the next day. Warren Mays was at my mama's house the next day picking me up, man. I think he pulled up. I don't know what kind of car that was at the time. That could have been a BMW or a Lexus. I don't know what that was at the time. Dude came pick me up the next day. He heard me spit on the phone for him, man. Took me to his studio, bro. He was like, yo, I'm signing you, blah, blah, blah. You know, like Warren Mays, bro. I'm gonna be real, man. Warren Mays was like he was like he really rocked with me, like on that level. Like he wanted me to be his main artist. He had other artists on his label at the time, but them guys was trash, man. Them guys was trash. Them guys was trash, man. But he wanted me to be his main artist that he was really just gonna put money behind. That he really was gonna put money behind. And yeah, man. Warren Mays, you know, he had me on his label. He had a record label at that time called Bomb Records, and I brought Blue in because me and Blue was cool. You know what I'm saying? And I brought Blue in. I was like, Blue, you rolling with me, bro? You know, I met this dude named Warren Mays. Blah blah blah. He's a producer. You know, dude got money, bro. You know, he gonna put some money behind us and blow us up. You know, me and Blue, we in junior high at the time. We in junior high school at the time. Yeah. And Blue was rolling with me. I took Blue to the studio and everything, man. And Warren Mays, he had this big dude. I think it was his bodyguard or something, but he had this big dude that used to roll with him named Sweet Pea. And Sweet Pea, he had like it was a big gray, I think it was a big gray expedition or something like that, man. But Warren Mays used to send Sweet Pea to come pick up me and Blue. And we used to go to the studio. We be in the studio kicking it, bro. You know, we riding around, you know. And I remember I recorded this song in Warren Mays' studio. I recorded this song called Coast to the Coast. I remember I recorded this song called Coast to the Coast in the studio. The song was dope, man. And I remember seeing, as I'm recording the song, you know, I used to see all type of women coming up for Warren Mays. I mean, Warren Mays had some bomb women after him, bro. Like, I met Warren Mays and I met my junior high school girlfriend, Jalecia. Yeah, Jalecia. Yeah. I remember the way I met Jalecia was me and Merv was kicking it at this it was something that they had going on at the New Orleans Superdome. It was something going on. I think it was a festival. It was something going on. Some type of carnival, Mardi Gras type stuff. I think it was Mardi Gras or it either was a carnival. It was something going on in New Orleans, and it was something big at the New Orleans Superdome. Oh, I know what it was. It was Team Summit. Yeah, they had this thing going on at the New Orleans Superdome called Team Summit. And me and me and Blue went. Me and Blue we went. So when me and Blue went to the Teen Summit, his mama dropped us off and we went. Me and Blue was rolling at this point. Me and him got real tight. We rolling at this point. And me and Blue went to Teen Summit, and that's when I met Jalecia. She walked right by me with this other girl that she was hanging with, and I asked her for her number. And when I asked Jalecia for her number, she gave it to me. You know, I called her, and at this time, you know, I was going to junior high school. And when I was going to junior high school, Jalecia, she caught the bus to come see me. She caught the bus to come see me. And I cut school too. I cut school, she cut school. She cut school, I cut school. She caught the bus to come see me. And we both cut in school, you know. And me and her got in my room, you know, started kissing. High school. I graduate junior high, and we get to high school. And the high school that I went to two high schools. I went to John F. Kennedy High School. Well, all of the, you know, homies from Gentilly was going to. And I went to John McDonald High School. I went to John Mac. Yeah. I went to two different high schools. I went to John F. Kennedy High School and I went to John Mac. When I went to John F. Kennedy High School, me and Blue went to the same high school. Blue went with me. Yeah. And this was when I met Raven. I remember it like it was yesterday. Me and Blue at school, you know, going to class, walking the hallways, and Raven was coming down the stairs and we was going up. I hollered at Raven, got her phone number, and next thing you know, Raven was my girlfriend. Me and Raven, we was boyfriend and girlfriend in high school. Me and Blue was close. Me and Blue had got closer in high school. So This was when all of the high school drama went down in John F. Kennedy, man. I mean, we literally ran that high school. You know, the era when we was going there, we ran it. You know, the Gentili boys, we straight up ran that high school, man. I mean, we talking about fights, stabbings. I remember Blue had a cousin named Floyd. Blue had a cousin named Floyd. He had a cousin named Floyd, Lance, and he had an uncle named Jermaine. Jermaine got stabbed. Jermaine got stabbed up in the high school, but he lived. You know, it was a gang fight going on. You know, it was a big wall. It was a big gang fight that we all was involved in. And we used to beef with the other dudes from the other neighborhoods. We used to beef with them. We used to fight all the time. And I remember Blue Uncle Jermaine got stabbed up in school, but he lived. He survived that, you know. And I had my fights. You know, I had a couple fights. I had my fights. Blue had his fights. It was just bad, man. I mean, it was just bad all around, bro. It was really just bad all around. And thank God that none of us got killed, because we could have easily got killed. You know, we could have easily gotten killed due to all of the fights that we had. We could have easily gotten killed. Like, it was crazy. And Raven was involved in her own trouble as well in the school. Raven was in this gang, and she was rolling with these Seven Wall girls. You know, they all came from the St. Bernard Projects. Raven them was from the St. Bernard Projects, the Seven Wall, St. Bernard Projects. And Raven had a clique. And these girls was like, they was about it, yo. They was about their business. They was about their business. And me and Raven would, man, we would cut school so many times. It was ridiculous. Like, every time me and Raven was cutting school, we was by my house having sex. Yeah, every time me and Raven would cut school, she would come by my house and we would have sex. Yeah, like the funny part about it, when me and Raven would cut school, everybody knew what we was doing. And when we would go back to school, we'd show up to school on the next day. Everybody would be like, I already know what y'all was doing. Me and Raven was cutting. I was cutting class so much, man, with Raven. I missed like maybe 40 to 50 something days of my third period class. Yeah, I missed like 40 to 50 something days of my third period class. It got so bad I had to go to court. I had to go to court for cutting class, yo. I had to go to court for cutting class. That's how much I was cutting class. I had to go to court for cutting class. And the judge, man, the judge was literally going to, this judge was going to lock me up for cutting class. And he was like, if I see you in here again, I'm going to lock you up and you're going to have to report to jail on the weekends. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what type of high school student reports to jail on the weekends? But that's how frustrated the judge was with me in high school, and that's how many days I missed in my class, man. I mean, I was getting into all kind of trouble, y'all. I'm talking about from the fights to cutting class. You know, at this time, you know, we smoking weed. We doing it all. We having multiple gang fights. We smoking. I'm smoking weed. I'm cutting class. I'm having lots of sex with Raven. You know, I'm just all in at this point. We just all in, man. I mean, it's bad. It's bad. It's just really bad in this high school. And yeah, man, everything was just going downhill. It was just going downhill. You know, it was just literally just going downhill. And the crazy part about it, as things was going downhill for me, as far as like my personal life, things was also going downhill for Blue, because I was hearing stories and I've witnessed it for myself. You know, Blue, you know, in the neighborhood in Chantilly, I wasn't living around there anymore, but Blue still was living around there. So I used to always go see Blue. I used to always catch the bus and go see Blue. I would always catch the bus and go see Blue. Me and Blue was still kicking it. And it was another guy that was in the neighborhood. he was robbing Blue. He started robbing Blue. Yeah, he started robbing Blue out of his weed. He started robbing Blue out of his weed and his money. And D Black and all of these guys was around this. I even saw it myself. The guy was robbing Blue, taking Blue money, taking his weed and everything. And I remember one time the guy who robbed Blue, I'm not gonna say his name, because he's also in jail. The guy who was robbing Blue, one time I was by Blue house. Me and Blue was smoking weed, and the guy knocked on Blue door, like Blue mama was gone. The guy knocked on Blue door, and Blue opened the door and he let him in. And when the guy came in, it was him, it was another guy, and it was D Black with him. And the guy was robbing Blue. He took Blue money and he took his weed. And I'm telling Blue, like, why you let him, take the stuff, bro? Like, why you let him take the stuff? So at this point, Blue was scared, man. He was just petrified. He was scared of the guy. The guy was basically just bullying Blue, and he kept robbing him. So what happened was, I took it upon myself, and I had a fight. And I had a fight with the guy. I had a fight with one of the guys that robbed Blue. I had a fight with him. I'm like, yo, bro, he took my homeboy stuff, blah, blah, blah. So me and the dude, we fighting it out. You know what I'm saying? We fighting it out. And then after that was a wrap. They could have jumped me that day. That day we was fighting it out. I'm fighting over Blue. Blue was the one getting jacked, and I'm fighting over him because the guys took his money and he took his weed. So me and the dude scrapping it out. D Black and the other guy watching it, they could have jumped me and everything. But I'm fighting for Blue. I'm fighting for Blue. So, I mean, after that was over, I asked Blue, like, yo, man, you can't be letting him bully you and punk you and take your weed and take your money, bro. You know what I'm saying? But Blue was my homie, though. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing I've never, like Blue was my homie, man. And I was just gonna rock with Blue regardless because I was loyal. You know what I'm saying? I really cared about Blue. Blue was my homie, and I just wasn't about to stop hanging with Blue. And I remember D Black and the other guy who robbed Blue. They used to always tell me, "Yo, T man, why you hanging with him? Why you hanging with him? Why you hanging with him?" But Blue was my homie, bro. I was loyal and I cared about Blue. Blue was my dog. I wasn't about to stop hanging with Blue. And me and Blue grew up rapping together the whole nine, man. So I'm like, I'm not about to hang with y'all. I'm not about to pick y'all over Blue. I just wasn't about to do it. I wasn't about to pick D Black and them over Blue. I wasn't doing it. That's how loyal and real I was. And yeah, man, I used to I had a fight over Blue. I'm fighting over him because the dude robbed him. So I'm fighting the dude that robbed him. It was crazy, man. And next thing you know, me and Raven, we going through our stuff. I'm going with Raven, me and Raven getting into it. We having our little moments, our arguments and stuff. And Raven, Raven, like when me and Raven broke up, she basically, when me and Raven broke up, she basically had sex with another guy from, my clique. And she had sex with another guy from my clique that was going to the same high school with us. His name was Brandon. So Raven, she had sex with him, and let me tell y'all something. At that point in my life, man, at that point, I was tripping off that stuff because I really liked Raven. You know what I'm saying? I really liked Raven. That was the crazy part about it. I really liked Raven, and I loved Raven. That was crazy. Raven was like my high school girlfriend. I liked Raven, and I can honestly say I loved Raven. But Raven was a snake. You know what I'm saying? Raven was a snake. So for all of you guys out there, you know what I'm saying? If you have ever been with a female or ever got your heart broken by a female, I've been there. Raven went behind my back and slept with one of my homies, in high school. And you gotta understand something too. We all was teenagers. So at that point in my life, I turned 18 years old. And when I turned 18 years old, that's when I started to change. I felt God's spirit changing me. My heart started changing. And next thing you know, it was over. I started grabbing the Bible. I started looking at preachers on TV, and I tell you all no lie. When I was looking at these preachers on TV, now remember, I'm 17 turning 18. I'm 18 years old now. When I'm looking at these preachers on TV, everything they were saying was speaking directly to me. Everything that they were saying was speaking directly to me. And all of a sudden, I started learning how to pray. I started reading my Bible more. Instantly, I just came into the kingdom. I was hooked. I was hooked. I started reading about Jesus and learning about God and the devil, heaven and hell. I was hooked. I was in the kingdom. And I remember it like it was yesterday. When I came into Jesus' kingdom, I remember calling Raven on the phone. And I was telling Raven about hell. Raven was shaken up. She was scared. Raven backed out. Raven was not coming in. Raven backed out. And I remember when I called Blue, I was talking to Blue, and when I called Blue and I was telling Blue about Jesus on the phone, Blue laughed at me. He backed out too. They both backed out. Raven and Blue backed out. They went down a dark path, and that's when I went down my path for Jesus. Yes, I went down my path for Jesus. Jalecia was around me at the time. She didn't back out. When I started talking to her about Jesus, Jalecia already knew about Jesus and stuff, and she always was a good, sweet girl. So her head was already on right, you know. And Jalecia saw me change from being in the world to coming into Jesus' kingdom. Raven backed out. She wasn't with it, and she wasn't about change. And Blue backed out, and Blue wasn't about change. And when I came into the kingdom, when I came into the kingdom, Blue's life went down a dark path. He instantly became a killer. He killed someone. He killed another kid. He killed another teenager in the hood. And I spoke with Blue. I spoke with Blue after he killed that kid. And what happened was, I remember it like it was yesterday. Blue called my phone and he was like, "Yo, T, I need to talk to you." Now, I had already came into the kingdom. I'm 18 years old. I had already came into the kingdom. Blue called my phone and he was like, "Yo, T, I need to talk to you." I'm like, "What's going on, man? I need to talk to you." But he said, "I can't talk to you over the phone." I'm like, all right. So I caught the bus and I went to go see Blue. And when I caught the bus to go see Blue in the neighborhood, me and Blue took a walk in the neighborhood. And I remember it like it was yesterday. When I went to his house, his mama was like, "Tireo, you better talk to him. You better talk to him, Tireo. He just getting into all kind of trouble. You better talk to him." So me and Blue walking through the neighborhood and we talking. And I had already heard the rumor, that he killed this dude. I already had heard it. Cause other dudes, they already told me about it. They already told me, yo, Blue on some other stuff, bruh. He killing dudes now. So me and Blue, we took a walk through the neighborhood, we talking. And as we walking and talking, I'm looking at the feds rolling up. Like they riding, like they riding the vehicle in circles. Like the feds was watching them. And I knew that was the feds. The feds was watching them, So they had an eye on them. They riding around in circles. They looking at me and him talking. I'm looking at him. He had his face down the whole time. The feds circling the block watching Blue hard because he had already committed murder. He killed someone. He killed another dude, but the feds didn't have evidence that he did it. They need evidence because Blue stashed the gun. The gun that he shot the dude with, he stashed it. He stashed the gun. So the feds riding around in circles looking at me and Blue walking up the street talking. And I'm like, "Yo, did you kill him?" I asked him, I said, "Blue, did you kill him? Did you kill him?" The look that he gave me in his eye told me he killed him. The look that he gave me in his eye told me that he killed him, but he didn't say it with his mouth. He didn't say it with his mouth, but the look that he gave me in his eye, he killed him. And that was it from now. That was it. He committed murder. He took a life. He caught a body. And it's like it was on from that point. Blue became a killer. And how he became a killer, I think Blue was just tired of just being bullied. I think Blue was tired of being bullied. I think Blue was just tired of just, getting robbed because, guys used to rob him in the hood, and Blue was just fed up with it all. And I think all of that demonized Blue. I think all of that demonized him into turning him into the killer that he became. You know? Yeah, I think all of that demonized Blue, and I think it just messed him up, and he just got demonized, man, by it. And Blue started catching bodies. Blue just started catching bodies, man. He started catching bodies. Things took a turn for the worse. Blue became a killer. D Black and another guy that used to rob Blue, they started robbing stores and banks. They went to jail. They went to jail. Yeah. D Black and them went to prison. They started robbing stores and banks, and they got caught. They went to jail. Blue caught a body. Blue became a killer. So his mental was totally changed at that point. And that was crazy. And I remember one day, this is what they told me what happened with Blue. Like, this is what they say triggered it all off. They say Blue took a ride with D Black. They say Blue took a ride with D Black and the other guy who used to rob Blue. They all took a ride. And they went into another neighborhood with some dudes that we used to have beef with. And they say that they let down the windows to the car and they just started shooting. It was D Black, Blue, and another guy. They did a drive-by. They was doing a drive-by. And Blue was a part of the drive-by. And Blue saw D Black and them, like, literally roll up on some other dudes in the neighborhood and pull out the guns and start blasting. And Blue witnessed that. He was with D Black and them when they did that. And that was all a part of Blue being triggered into the kid that he became, And they say that drive-by really messed him up, man. And then after that, it was over for Blue. Blue just started, he caught a body, and I don't even know how many other bodies he didn't caught. But I remember Blue telling me other stories of other guys that he shot. Yeah, he told me he shot his girlfriend's ex one time. He shot him. Yeah, Blue just was, he took a turn for the worse, man. He became a killer. He became a killer, man. Yeah. And I'm not saying his real name. So I'm calling him Blue. Only I know his real name. I know his real name, but I'm not saying his real name in this documentary because, I'm not a rat. I'm not a rat. So yeah, and plus I grew up with him, so I'm not doing that. I grew up with him, and nah, I'm not gonna say his real name like that. But yeah, Blue, Blue just took a turn for the worse, man, and he went down a dark path, and he just started catching bodies, man, left and right. D Black and them went to jail for the Black criminal's history was horrible. Like, he had a record, man. His criminal history was horrible. He had a record because D Black was always in and out of jail. He was always in and out of jail. Like, D Black going to jail was his normal. D Black was robbing. He was jacking. He probably killed a couple dudes as well. D Black just took a turn for the worse. But D Black was always toxic like that ever since we was kids. Like ever since we was kids, D Black was always toxic like that. Always. So I already knew how his future was going to end up anyway. And that's how it all went down. God, please forgive us.
Tireo, I forgive you of your sins. I appreciate your honesty. And I thank you for acknowledging me. I love you, son. Lots of people, they refuse to repent of their sins and of their wicked ways. They rebel against me, and they live life their way. Repent.
We need Jesus. And then, this is when I turned 18 years old. I'm in Jesus' kingdom now. I'm in the kingdom. And when I came into Jesus' kingdom, man, when I was 18, it just was like, wow. I remember I sat in a room for 2 years. I sat in a room for 2 years. I dropped out of high school also. When I came into Jesus' kingdom when I was 18, I dropped out of high school. I was going to John McDonald High School at the time because, I got kicked out of John F. Kennedy. So I had to transfer to another high school. So I went to John Mac, and I was in the 12th grade. And next thing you know, I came into the kingdom. I'm reading my Bible. I'm praying. I'm on my knees every night praying to God. I'm talking to God. I'm building up a relationship with Jesus. And next thing you know, it just got to the point to whereas I didn't even want to go to school anymore, man. Like, so I just stopped going to school. I was so hooked into Jesus' kingdom and reading the Bible and everything. I just stopped going to school. Because I was hungry. I'm brand new to the kingdom. I'm new to all this stuff. I was hungry, man. So next thing you know, I stopped going to school. I literally drop out of school. I'm reading my Bible every day. I'm praying. I started learning how to fast. I'm reading all these Bible stories. I'm looking at the Bible movies. I'm all in, man. And I sat in a room for 2 years straight, getting close to God and getting close to Jesus and reading and studying. I sat in the room 2 years straight, reading and studying, man. I mean, I came out the room, of course, when, you're going to the kitchen, you're getting your meals and your snacks and all that stuff. But I stayed home. I stayed home for 2 years straight, reading and studying the Bible. My mama thought I went crazy. She didn't kick me out the house, which was shocking, and she didn't kick me out. My mama saw me drop out of high school for Jesus' kingdom. And she saw me sit in that room for 2 years reading and studying, praying and watching Bible movies and getting close to God and fasting, because I'm new to the kingdom, right? So I'm learning all this. Next thing you know, that's when I started having the nightmares. I started having my spiritual demonic attacks. It was one nightmare after another nightmare after another nightmare. I mean, the devil was trying to kill me in my sleep. I would have so many dreams of being killed in my sleep. It was ridiculous. I was having these nightmares from Monday to Sunday. Back to back to back nightmares, man. And almost every nightmare that I had, it was Satan trying to kill me in my sleep. It was somebody either stabbing me or shooting me in my sleep. But that was the devil trying to kill me in my sleep because I had came into Jesus' kingdom. So I was new to everything. So Satan was after me. Satan had a hit out on me at that point because I just came into the kingdom. I wasn't worldly anymore. I wasn't into the world anymore. So Satan was after me, man. I had got baptized. I got baptized twice. I got baptized the first time at this church that my stepfather used to go to. Pastor Tanner, a man named Pastor Tanner, baptized me the first time. And then I got baptized again, the right way, in the name of Jesus, at this church that this guy named John took me to. This guy John put me on being baptized in Jesus' name. I gotta give John credit. John put me on to that. I met this guy named John, and he put me on to that. And he told me, he said, Tireo, you gotta get baptized again because that wasn't the right way. I'm like, what? So I said, show me. So he took me to this church where he went to, and it was baptizing people in the name of Jesus. And I got baptized again. Yeah, so salute to John, because I got to give John credit. John took me to the right church, and they baptized me in the name of Jesus. But the nightmares, the attacks, everything was just, it was coming left and right, man. I was having all these spiritual experiences, man. Satan giving me nightmares and bad dreams. I used to have so many sex dreams. It was ridiculous, bro. I used to have so many sex dreams. It was ridiculous, man. It was ridiculous, bro. The devil was after me, like off the rip. Satan was just after me, man. We talking from nightmare to nightmare to nightmare to nightmare. Sex dream after sex dream after sex dream after sex dream. I was losing sperm at that point. I was even losing sperm at that point because I was having all these sex dreams. And I'm like, God, Why you doing this to me? What's going on? And God said the reason why this is happening to you is because you're not in the world anymore. You are in my kingdom and you are under spiritual attacks. Yeah. I saw spiritual things like I saw angel wings fly past my face. You know what I'm saying? I saw black spirits follow me when I used to walk to the store. I saw black reaper shadows following me and all. I saw all this in the spirit. I saw all this. I used to literally see black reaper shadows and demons following me as I go to the store. I would see white angel wings fly past my face. One time I saw these angel wings that flew past my face and it was like a bright yellow. Flew right past my face. I saw all this when I came into the kingdom. All this stuff. Because I was into the kingdom and then I'm reading about all these stories in the Bible. I'm watching the Bible movies. So, everything is just, I'm learning and learning and learning, man. Building my relationship with Jesus. It was crazy. And I tell y'all, this experience that really shook me up. This was one of the most deepest experiences that I had when I was in Jesus' kingdom when I first came in. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting on the porch. And the funny part about it, it was raining. It was lightning and thundering and kind of raining. And I'm sitting on the porch. And in the apartment complex, everyone was inside. Everyone was inside. My mom and my stepdad was out and about, running their errands and stuff like that. So I'm sitting on this porch and I'm talking to God. I'm looking in the sky and I'm talking to God and I'm praying to him. I reached out my hand. I reached out my hand and I felt the body. I reached out my hand and I felt the body. I pulled my hand back and I just started crying. I just started crying, bust out in tears. Literally. That spiritual experience shook me up. And that's when I knew this stuff was real. I knew it was real. I knew this stuff was real. Okay, stuff like that you only see on TV, but I saw it in real life. I experienced that in real life. I reached out my hand and I touched the invisible body. I experienced that in real life. I know this spiritual stuff in Jesus' kingdom is real. I know. It shook me up. It broke me down. I was crying in tears, the whole nine. Yes, and I was experiencing all these deep and powerful things as I was on my 2-year run because I sat in the room for 2 years, reading the Bible, studying, learning, fasting and praying, the whole nine. So after that, I started doing street ministry. This was when I used to go into the neighborhoods and preach the Bible. I used to go into the projects. I was going into the projects preaching the Bible, and I would go into my old neighborhood and stuff and preach the Bible. And everybody in the neighborhood knew. They knew, Tireo into Jesus now. Tireo into Jesus. I remember one time I saw D Black and I was telling him about the Bible, I was telling everybody about the Bible. I literally used to go from house to house. I used to knock on people's doors and preach the Bible. People would open their doors and I would talk to them about Jesus with a Bible in my hand. I used to walk through the projects with a Bible in my hand. I used to go from door to door doing street ministry with a Bible in my hand. Literally in my hand. I started from the ground up. I started straight from the bottom. This was before the internet. This was before YouTube. This was before the whole thing. I started from the streets. And I was so happy preaching God's word, man. I mean, I was so excited on preaching God's word, yo. I'm talking about going from house to house, knocking on doors. I did it. I did it. I did it from the ground up. And I brought a lot of people into the kingdom like that. I brought a lot of people into Jesus' kingdom like that, man. Real stuff, and that was the experience. That was the experience, man, off the rip. And then after all of that, after all of that stuff that I experienced in the 2 years, that's when I had decided to go back to school. So I went to Job Corps. I decided to go back to school. I went to Job Corps. And then my mom and my stepdad decided to move into a house in another neighborhood in the 7 Walk. So as I decided to go to Job Corps to go back to school, because I heard a voice. The voice of God told me, all right, Tireo, it's time to go back to school. So I went back to school and I went to Job Corps. And then my mom and my stepdad moved into another neighborhood that still was in the 7 wall. And my mama had moved into a house. She moved into a house. So what happened was, when she moved into this house, this was when I met Jacoby. I met Jacoby at Hardin Park. I met Jacoby at Hardin Park because Jacoby was at the park playing ball. And I always was good at playing ball because I used to play ball when I was young as well. So I always was good at playing ball. So I met Jacoby at Hardin Park. And when I met Jacoby, you know, me and him just clicked. I introduced myself to him and he introduced himself to me, and then me and Kobe just got like tight. And this was when I had Jesus. I already have Jesus in my life now. So me and Kobe started kicking it, playing ball every day at the park. We kicking it, playing ball every day at the park. You know, I told Kobe about Jesus and brought Kobe into Jesus' kingdom. You know, and then after that, this was when I met Joseph. I met Joseph through a guy named Roy. Roy used to be one of my managers when I was doing music. And what happened was, Roy was the first guy that actually, paid for me to record my first spiritual song, because the other music that I did in the past was worldly. So when I came into Jesus' kingdom, I started doing the spiritual rap music for Jesus' kingdom. And the first song that I recorded in Jesus' kingdom was Murder Lucifer. I recorded Murder Lucifer, and Roy took me to the studio, and Roy paid for me to record that song. I recorded Murder Lucifer, I recorded Rose from the Dead, and then I recorded Get With Me. And Roy paid for all of those 3 songs. He paid for my studio session at that time. And Roy was basically promoting my spiritual album. Roy was promoting my spiritual music. And a lot of people didn't get it because the lyrics in Murder Lucifer was too deep. People didn't even know who Lucifer was. You know what I'm saying? So I was already ahead of everybody, and I already was over advanced because the stuff that I was rapping about was just too deep. I was rapping about killing the devil, and see, back then everybody was rapping about killing each other. So I flipped the script and I was like, I'm gonna rap about killing the devil. So I'm rapping about killing the devil. A lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people rejected the song because the song was too deep and it was too spiritual. And as me and Roy was grinding, with the music thing, I met Kobe. Me and Kobe playing street ball. We doing our thing. We cool. I brought Kobe into the kingdom. Me and Kobe got close. And Roy introduced me to Joseph. Roy brought me around Joseph. And as Roy brought me around Joseph, that's when me and Joseph connected, and I started rolling with them because Joseph and them was doing the music thing too. So I started rolling with Joseph and them. Joseph was giving me all these hot beats and everything. So I just started rolling with Joseph and them. And I met these 3 girls at this point in my life. I met Maria at Job Corps because Maria was going to Job Corps. I met Maria at Job Corps. Maria was actually the first girl to get my name tattooed on her. Yeah, Maria got my name tattooed on her leg. She was the first girl to get my name tattooed on her. I met Maria at Job Corps. I met Anika in the neighborhood where I met Jacoby at because Anika lived right across the street from me. I met Anika, and also I met Destiny in that same neighborhood too. Destiny and Anika lived in the same neighborhood where I met Jacoby at. Destiny lived right around the corner, and I met Destiny at the park. Destiny lived right around the corner, and Anika lived right across the street from my mom's house. And I met Maria at Job Corps. And I was having sex with all 3 of these girls. Yes, I was in sexual relationships with all 3 of these girls. I was having sexual intercourse with Maria because she went to Job Corps, and I was having sex with Anika and Destiny at the same time. Yeah, Anika was using me for sex though. The funny part about Anika, I really liked Anika. I really liked Anika, but Anika was basically just using me for sex. Anika was using me for sex and she was using another guy for his money. Anika was using me for sex and using another guy for his money. And Destiny, me and Destiny had a sexual relationship as well. I met Destiny at Horton Park. And Destiny just, she basically just went on some betrayal stuff, just, like, I don't know what it was. It just basically, I think it was jealousy, though, it's like Destiny just got to a point to where I guess she just became jealous of me because I was popular from playing street ball. I had got popular playing street ball. Destiny became jealous. Me and Maria basically broke up, you know, and Anika was just using me for sex, and Anika kind of broke my heart, real stuff. Yeah, Anika broke my heart really, really bad because she was using me for sex. And once I realized that, it was like, whoa, Anika broke me down. But I needed that. I needed to be broken. Sometimes in life you need to be broken. Anika broke my butt down. Oh yeah. She broke me down to where I actually cried, man. Yeah, I actually cried. Anika broke me down to whereas I actually cried. Yeah, me and Maria broke up, and Destiny just was just on some crazy portrayal stuff, I don't know what Destiny was on, but yeah. And at this point in my life, I'm playing street ball, me and Kobe and me and all the little homies doing our thing. And I decided to, create my own street ball tape. I told Jacoby and them, I'm like, listen, bruh, listen. We need to just create our own street ball tape because at this point, and one was popping, and one. At this point, and one was popping. So I'm like, man, look, we need to do our own thing in New Orleans, man. We need to do our own thing right here. We need to create our own street ball tape. So next thing you know, we started trying to create the tape, Jacoby went to his mama and he asked his mom, can he borrow their camera recorder? His mama said no. I was like, wow. I went to my people and I asked my family members, my uncle, can I borrow their camera recorder? They told me no. And I'm like, wow. Now, this was the crazy part about it. This was positive stuff we was doing. Me and Jacoby was doing positive stuff, and we wanted to film ourselves playing street ball and turn it into a tape. And we got rejected. Nobody would let us borrow a camera recorder to do something positive. That was sad. So I said, Kobe, don't worry, bro. I got it. So what happened was, I graduated from Job Corps. And when I graduated from Job Corps, you get paid. You get paid to go to school, when you're going to school at Job Corps. If you complete your trade, you get money. And then if you get your GED or your diploma, you get extra money. So when I graduated from Job Corps, I left Job Corps with a certificate in BOT, which stands for Business Office Technology, and I also graduated and left with my diploma. I stayed in Job Corps for like about maybe 4 to 5 years. I stayed in Job Corps for a long time because Job Corps is hard. And I used to catch like 4 buses to school when I used to go to Job Corps because Job Corps was on the other side of town. So I used to catch like 4 buses going back and forth to school at Job Corps. And also, Job Corps had a basketball team, and I was on the basketball team at Job Corps. So I'm going to Job Corps. I'm catching 4 buses to go to school. I have Jesus in my life. I have these girls in my life, Maria, Destiny, and Anika. I'm still rapping, doing my thing with Joseph in the studio. I'm doing that. I'm doing all of this. Now understand, I'm doing all of this in Jesus' kingdom because I already have Jesus. So I'm doing music with Joseph now. I'm in the studio with him. I'm doing the street ball thing with Jacoby. Okay, we popular in New Orleans off of the street ball thing. I got Maria in my life because she went to Job Corps. I met her at Job Corps. I got Anika and Destiny as well. So I got all this going on at one time. And I'm also catching 4 buses to school to go to Job Corps because it was on the other side of town. So when I finally graduated from Job Corps, I left with money. because you get paid to go to school and you get more money when you graduate and you complete your trade. So I left with money. And what I did was I took some of the money and I brought my own camera recorder. When I brought my own camera recorder, that's when it was over. We went to filming our own street ball tape. It got popping and it got popping.
21-year-old Tireo Hammond loves basketball. He has competed in street basketball tournaments. But to him, this is more than a game. It's a way to reach out to teenagers he meets on the court.
And tell them, like, don't be going the wrong route and don't do the things, that a lot of other people out here doing. Like, they're selling drugs and crack and people getting killed and everything like that. And, they look up to me and I just tell them, just be yourself and just do what you, just chase your dream and don't never give up.
Tireo has been coaching 16-year-old Jacoby Jason for the past 3 years.
He had a real powerful impact on my life. Before I met him, I was acting crazy and getting in all kind of trouble. And God used him to come out here and take me under his wing, and he started teaching me a lot of stuff.
Jacoby says Tireo taught him more than basketball. He shared his faith.
I used to curse people out and stuff. Sometimes I used to fight like a hobby, but I used to fight sometimes.
And now?
And now, God changed my life around.
Jacoby says he isn't perfect, but now he's making better decisions. Tireo has also come a long way since his childhood.
I did a lot of dirtbag things. I sold drugs. I've been out there on the streets and this and that. And God turned my life around and led me a whole nother way. And he opened up my eyes. And that's when everything just started changing for me. I got back in school.
Tireo attended junior college in Texas and plans to transfer to a college in Mississippi in the fall. He plans to major in drama. His interests go beyond basketball.
Money only amplifies what you were before you had it. It probably was a demon, an angel, or God, but I grabbed it.
Tireo, encouraged by his good friend and artist Cody Marshall, wants to produce inspirational rap CDs and movies. But right now, his best production is on the court, showing teens like Jacoby how to make the goal.
Because we all got to die one day, and basically, and my thing is to complete my mission and my journey for God, because when I leave here, I want him to say, man, you did a good job down there.
Sally Ann Roberts, Channel 4, Eyewitness News.
I stayed in Job Corps for like about maybe 4 to 5 years. I stayed in Job Corps for a long time because Job Corps is hard. And I used to catch like 4 buses to school when I used to go to Job Corps because Job Corps was on the other side of town. So I used to catch like 4 buses going back and forth to school at Job Corps. And also, Job Corps had a basketball team, and I was on the basketball team at Job Corps. So I'm going to Job Corps. I'm catching 4 buses to go to school. I have Jesus in my life. I have these girls in my life, Maria, Destiny, and Anika. I'm still rapping, doing my thing with Joseph in the studio. I'm doing that. I'm doing all of this. Now understand, I'm doing all of this in Jesus' kingdom because I already have Jesus. So I'm doing music with Joseph now. I'm in the studio with him. I'm doing a street ball thing with Jacoby. Okay, we famous and we popular in New Orleans off of the street ball thing. I got Maria in my life because she went to Job Corps. I met her at Job Corps. I got Anika and Destiny as well. So I got all this going on at one time. And I'm also catching 4 buses to school to go to Job Corps because it was on the other side of town. So when I finally graduated from Job Corps, I left with money because you get paid to go to school and you get more money when you graduate and you complete your trade. So I left with money. And what I did was I took some of the money and I brought my own camera recorder. When I brought my own camera recorder, that's when it was over. We went to filming our own street ball tape. It got popping and it got popping. And I mean, the whole tape blew up. The whole tape blew up. It got to the point to where me and Kobe would be signing autographs for people at the park. And then another thing happened to whereas the Channel 4 News, Miss Sally Ann Roberts, who worked for the Channel 4 News at the time, she got a hold of the tape. That's how popping the tape became. She got a hold of the tape and she wanted to interview us. She wanted to interview us off the rip. She wanted to interview us, and I did the interview. We made the Channel 4 News off of the street ball tape. Off of the street ball tape. We made the Channel 4 News off of the street ball tape, and we was famous in New Orleans. Next thing you know, me and Kobe, we started selling these tapes. We started selling the tapes for like, I think $5 to $10 a pop, and we was making money. We was making some real good money selling those tapes. You know, we had flyers and posters put up and everything. I had to get the flyers made. I had to get posters made. We was on the grind, man. We was literally on the grind. And also, next thing you know, the tape just took off. Next thing you know, we translated the VCR tape to DVD. Yeah, I ran into a guy, and a guy told me he knew how to put, tapes on DVD. So I'm like, what? So we went from the VHS tapes, the street ball tapes, to the DVD. And when they got to the DVD, we made more money off of that. It was popping, man. It was popping. You know what I'm saying? And at this point in my life, I still was around Joseph. Joseph gave me a ton load of beats. We doing the music thing. But Joseph, he kind of was jealous. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to just keep it real. He kind of was jealous of me, and I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why he was jealous of me, but me and Joseph, man, when I hung with Joseph, we did the music thing and everything was cool. Me and Joseph was even doing shows. Me and Joseph used to be, having sex with women in motel rooms. Like literally. You know what I'm saying? Me and Joseph would do shows. Me and Joseph would be having sex with women in motel rooms. You know what I'm saying? Me and Joseph would be at the clubs. Like me and Joseph was doing it all. You know what I'm saying? Seriously. Like, I was around him. I was grinding with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, Joseph was in the streets in New Orleans. He knew the streets. And dude gave me a lot of music. But at the same time, I still saw a lot of jealousy within Joseph. I saw a lot of jealousy within him. And, one thing led to another. And the crazy part about that was I was around Joseph in Hurricane Katrina. I was around Joseph during Hurricane Katrina and the whole nine. And I saw Joseph blow a record deal. What made me really upset with Joseph was when I saw Joseph blow a record deal that we worked hard to get. He blew a record deal. We met these producers and they really had big money and they wanted to invest money into Joseph. Joseph blew that deal. He blew that record deal. He blew that deal. Another thing too that kind of hurted me with Joseph, because Joseph basically, he basically portrayed me. And we was in Atlanta at the time. Joseph, this is what he thought. He thought I had sex with his daughter. Due to a letter that I wrote her. But I never had sex with her. I just liked the girl. But I never had sex with her. So, he basically portrayed me. He tried to get me in trouble with the law. He tried to have me arrested, but I never got arrested, and that was it. I had cut him off. I moved on. And when I cut Jacoby off, and when I cut Joseph off, it was just me and Kobe. When I cut Joseph off, it was just me and Kobe. And years later, Joseph tried to get cool with me again. He tried to get cool with me again, but I wasn't with it. And the reason why I wasn't with it was because, bro, you tried to have me in trouble with the law. You know what I'm saying? You falsely accused me of having sex with your daughter when I wasn't. So at that point in my life, I just was done with Joseph. You know what I'm saying? And I watched Joseph do all kind of flaky stuff. I watched Joseph beat on his girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? I watched him beat his wife. I watched this dude literally put hands on his wife. I watched him beat his wife. I watched him beat his girlfriend. Like, I saw all his dirt. So for him to portray me like that and falsely accuse me was just horrible. So I basically just cut him off. I just cut him off, man. I just cut him off. And I just moved on with my life. You know what I'm saying? And that was it. And me and Kobe was still cool at this point. Yeah. I went through the whole Hurricane Katrina with Joseph. Yeah, I experienced the whole Hurricane Katrina with him. Yeah. I was around him, man. Joseph was very, very manipulative too. He was very, very manipulative. Like, he was very manipulative, you know, just jealous. He blew record deals. You know what I'm saying? You know, he falsely accused me of having sex with his daughter when I didn't. You know, he tried to have me, you know, in trouble with the law. And then after he did all this dirt, he tried to get cool with me again. And see, that's the thing I don't like. You accuse me of a ton load of stuff that I didn't do, okay? And then you try to get cool with me again. I'm not rocking with that, man. I'm not rocking with that, because I was loyal to Joseph. I was one of Joseph's most loyal friends. I was loyal to Joseph off the rip. I was straight up loyal to Joseph, man. And for Joseph to portray me like that and do me dirty like that really, really tripped me out and broke my heart. But it's cool, because I'm telling my story, and that was the past. But yeah, I'm over all that now, because I outgrew everything. You know what I'm saying? I outgrew everything. And Joseph, you know, I outbeated all of them. Everybody that hurted me, everybody that betrayed me, I won. I outbeated them all. None of them could stop me. I overcame everything that I went through. I overcame the whole thing. None of them could stop me. None of them destroyed me. None of them destroyed me. You know what I'm saying? From all of the females, from Raven to Maria to Anika to Destiny to Joseph, none of them destroyed me. None of them. I overcame every single thing that I went through in my life. Yes. I overcame everything for Jesus' kingdom. And like I say, that's what happened. That's my story. All of this happened before I got Jesus and when I came into Jesus' kingdom. Yes. Yes. And just like I'm saying, man, you know, I just want to say this to you all. You know, you have a story, and don't never let anything in your story destroy you. Don't ever let anything in your story demonize you. I saw it all, and I went through it all. I had my heart broken. I've been betrayed. I've been let down. I've been stabbed in the back. Yes, I got my heart broken by females. I've been betrayed by dudes that I thought was cool. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I saw it all. Yeah, I've seen it all. You know, I was around Jacoby. Me and Jacoby accomplished something with the street ball tape. We took something as simple as a street ball tape and got famous and popular off of that in New Orleans. Made the Channel 4 news and everything. And Joseph was jealous of that. He was jealous of that. He was jealous of that. I saw all that, man. And after I saw Joseph blow that record deal, I just had to get away from him. And then when he betrayed me like that, you know, it hurted me at the time. Yeah, it hurted me, because I'm like, yo, why would you accuse me? Why would you falsely accuse me of having sex with your daughter when I didn't, bro? I just liked the girl, but I never had sex with her, bro. Like, why would you falsely accuse me of that? You know, it was crazy. Yeah. And then he tried to get cool with me after that. You tried to get cool with me after you falsely accused me of having sex with your daughter, trying to get me in trouble with the law. And I watched you beat your wife. This is what's crazy, because I remember it like it was yesterday.
I'm looking at myself in the mirror. My soul is eternal, so I gotta get the picture. If you're fighting for your life, I'm with you.
In this documentary of my life, this is my life after Jesus, based on a true story, parts 3, 4, and 5. Here it is. I went to a junior college in Dallas, Texas. Called Richland Junior College. And how I got into school was, when I was applying for the school, I was basically going to the school to play basketball. You know, a scout had got me into school. You know what I'm saying? And he was telling me I can go to Richland Junior College, play ball, blah, blah, blah. You know how I go. So When I was applying to get into school, I met this guy named L. L already worked at the school. L was a cool brother, man. Dude was just cool. Just a real great, awesome brother. So when I met L, I was telling L my life story. I was telling L what I was going through in New Orleans. I was telling L, I was like, bruh, I gotta get out of New Orleans, man. I gotta get out of here, bruh. I gotta make it out New Orleans, bruh. I don't want to be here. So when I was telling my life story to L was feeling me. He was hearing my life story and the whole nine. And L was like, all right, T, look, I'm gonna help you get into school. And not only that, bruh, you can come up here and crash in my apartment. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, word? And he was like, yeah, bruh, you could come up here and just crash in my apartment. So what happened was L drove all the way from Dallas, Texas, and he drove to New Orleans to come pick me up off the rip. No lie, true story. L drove all the way from Dallas, Texas to New Orleans to come pick me up. When he came to New Orleans, me and L hung out. You know what I'm saying? We went to the club, we kicked it, and then the next day, I was up out of there. I was straight going to Dallas, Texas. I had already got into school, the whole nine. So when I got in, you know what I'm saying? We got to Dallas, Texas, man. I'm living with L. I'm going to school. I'm in college. I'm in junior college. I went ahead and went to the basketball coach. That was like the first thing I did. I went to the basketball coach, not even knowing at the time that the basketball coach was racist, but I didn't know at the time, you know what I'm saying? This is my first year in school. I'm new to all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's my first time in college. So I don't know what's going on. So went ahead and introduced myself to the basketball coach, to the basketball coach. And next thing you know, he told me when they was going to start having practice. So I'm taking my classes, you know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, practice begins. You know how I go. We in the gym, we working out. I'm lifting the weights, exercising, working out, doing my schoolwork. And what happened was I met this girl named Michelle. Beautiful chick, man. This chick was named Michelle. Beautiful chick. I'm in the gym, right? I'm in the gym working out, hitting the weights, and the girl basically just walked up to me and just gave me her number. Like, she just walked up to me and just gave me her number. And basically Michelle, she basically wanted me to, she just basically wanted me to have sex with her. She wanted me to hit it. She wanted me to have sex with her. And I'm gonna be real with you. At this time of my life, at this time of my life, man, I'm already in the kingdom. I'm new to college. You know what I'm saying? I'm on a basketball team, so I'm not trying to get caught up with no chicks. I'm not trying to be out here in Dallas, Texas, having sex with chicks and just getting caught up. I ain't trying to be doing that because, for number one, I'm new to Dallas. I'm new to the school. I'm not trying to get wrapped up with, with this beautiful chick and mess around and been done got her pregnant and messed up my whole life, right? So what happened was I told L about it. And I was like, yo, L, man, this beautiful chick, bro, off the chain, fly hot chick, just walked up to me in the gym, bro, when I was working out and just gave me a number. And L started laughing. L was like, T, she wants you, bro. And I'm like, man, I don't know. I'm scared. I'm nervous. So what happened was, I remember this like it was yesterday. Passion of the Christ had just came out at the movie theater. Passion of the Christ had just came out at the movie theater, and You Got Served came out with Marcus Houston and all them. So it was two movies that everybody was going to see. You either was going to see Passion of the Christ that came out at the movie theater, or you was going to see You Got Served. So what happened was, she wanted to hook up, and she was like, you want to go to the movies with me and my sister? I'm like, yeah, I'll go. Cool. So what happened was, I I had condoms. L gave me some condoms. L gave me some condoms. So what I did was I left the condoms at the apartment on purpose because I know how I am. If I don't have them condoms, I'm not having sex. So what I did was I left the condoms. I left the condoms at L's apartment on purpose so I won't have sex with her. And when she came pick me up, we went to the movie theater, man. We saw Passion of the Christ. And then the girl had a sister. Lord Jesus. The girl had a sister. And her sister was hot. The girl had a sister. And her sister was banging. So I'm like, oh my gosh. Not only is Michelle hot, but her sister is hot. So I'm like, man. So what happened was we went and saw Passion of the Christ, right? Passion of the Christ was over. Next thing you know, her sister had her own car. Her sister basically hopped in her ride after the movie theater, and she just went her own way. And me and Michelle got in the car, and this girl took me to this park at night. I tell you no lie. I remember this like it was yesterday. She had a Jeep. She had a little mini fly looking Jeep. This girl took me to the park in the Jeep at nighttime. Nobody, and picture this, nobody was at this park. Nobody was at this park but me and her. It's late at night. This girl took me to this park, and all of a sudden the girl parked the Jeep in the park, then jumped on me and just started kissing me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the girl kissing me. You know what I'm saying? We kissing and we kissing and we kissing. Next thing you know, this girl basically restarts up the car. She restarts up the Jeep. She take me to her house. She restarts up the Jeep. She takes me to her house. She bring me in her room, and when I get in her room, I remember it's like I remember all this stuff. When I get in the room, I'm looking at all these pictures of all these R&B dudes on her wall. I mean, she had pictures of Genuine, Tyrese, Drew Hill, like every R&B artist that you can name, male artist. She had all these dudes' pictures on her wall. So right then and there, I was like, man, this girl a freak. This girl a freak. Next thing you know, she kissing me and we kissing. Next thing you know, she want to do it. Right? She telling me she wet, she want to do it. And I told her straight up, I was like, I don't have no protection. I don't have no condoms because I left the condoms by L apartment on purpose. So, because I just wasn't about to do it. Not only that, this girl was willing to have unprotected sex with me. And this was my first time hanging out with her. Like, she was willing to have unprotected sex with me on the first night of hanging out with her, and I wasn't with none of that. Man. I'm scared. I'm nervous. I'm new to Dallas. I just got into school. I'm not trying to mess up my life. I'm trying to make small choices, so I didn't do it with her. So this what happened. I didn't do it with her, right? So we went to sleep in her room, and in the morning, we woke up, and she basically just brought me back to L's apartment. She dropped me off and she brought me back to L's apartment, and that girl never spoke to me again. I remember this like it was yesterday. She never spoke to me again. And not only that, I found out that she wanted me and L to have sex with her. And I was like, what? I found out after that she wanted me and L to have sex with her. And after that, we didn't do it. I didn't do it. That girl never spoke to me again. Never. And I'm going to be real with you. After that, bro, Like, after that, I was like, all right, time to get back focused on school and playing ball. So after that, I was like, all right, time to get back focused on school and playing ball. So I'm back focused again. I didn't fall for that trap. I wasn't falling for that trap. So I'm back focused again. Next thing you know, we start having basketball practice, right? We start practicing. We start having basketball practice. And all of a sudden, I'm at basketball practice, next thing you know, I'm scoping out the coach. I'm watching how the coach is treating the players on the team. And I tell you no lie, all of the players on the team was black. All of the players on the team was black, and the coaches was white. You know, you had the main coach and you had the assistant coach. It was two white guys, okay? So all of the players on the team is black, and you had the main coach who was white, and then you had the assistant coach who was white. So I'm watching how the coach operate with the players. Man, I tell you no lie. Coach was talking to these dudes like they were slaves. I saw the coach just yank one dude by his shirt. Like, I literally saw the coach yank a dude by his shirt. Like, the coach and the player got into it, and the way the coach treated the dude, he yanked him by his shirt, just talking reckless and crazy to him. Like, he was treating the dude as if that was his slave. So I'm watching this stuff and I'm like, that's cold. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wow, that's cold. He yanking a dude by his shirt. You know, he yelling at the dude. He fussing at the dude. The coach was basically just talking to these dudes like they was his slaves, man. Like they was his slaves. So once I saw that, you know, I wasn't rocking with that. I'm like, it's like I ain't even take it serious no more after that. Like, once I saw that, I ain't even take it serious no more. I was like, nah, I'm not rocking with this. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely not rocking with this. So what happened was, I just stopped taking it serious. You know what I'm saying? Kind of stopped going to practice, you know, and I just wasn't with it no more. I just wasn't with it no more, man. Because I saw that the coach was racist. I saw that the basketball coach was racist against blacks. And it was kind of like those dudes was his slaves. I wasn't with all that, bro. So I just stopped taking it serious, and I stopped going to practice and all that stuff. And I just was focusing on school at the time, the work. And then after that, I just stopped focusing on the school work, because I'm looking at everything for what it is. I'm not learning nothing in college. I'm not learning anything, okay? These classes ain't giving me knowledge and wisdom and teaching me anything. So I'm not learning nothing. I'm finding out that the basketball coach is racist. I'm like, okay, it's time to roll. So what happened was, I talked to L, because I was up there staying with L. And next thing you know, I was ready to get back in the studio. I was ready to get back in the studio, man, and get back to recording that Jesus music off the rip. So what happened was, I went to looking up some studios in Dallas. You know what I'm saying? I went to looking up some studios. Me and L went to riding around. L took me to these studios. We went to looking up these studios, man. And I told L off the rip. I was like, bruh, I'm about to get back to my Jesus stuff, bro. You know what I'm saying? And the whole time when I went up there, I noticed that L had a purpose on his life too. Because when me and L was talking, L had a deep purpose on his life. But L was afraid to like really get in his purpose. L was like really afraid to just get all the way in his purpose, man. He just wasn't with it like me. He just wasn't with it. L was a cool, great guy, but he just was not willing to step all the way into his full purpose for Jesus like me. He wasn't with it. So what happened was, I told L, I was like, well, look, L, bro, I'm not about to be in Dallas, you know what I'm saying? Not following Jesus, not doing what I gotta do. You know what I'm saying? And I tell you no lie, me and L, we kicked it at a couple clubs, like every Saturday. Like every Saturday. When I tell you every Saturday, I mean every Saturday. Every Saturday, L will take me to these clubs. Like, we'll just go out. We'll go out, you know what I'm saying? Have a couple drinks, you know what I'm saying? Just going to the club, you know, just looking fly, blah, 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 right? And I kept telling L, I'm like, L, you cannot keep living like this, bro. You cannot keep living like this. You can't keep going to the club every Saturday trying to relieve your stress. I say, L, you supposed to follow God, bro. You chosen. Jesus want to use you. You know what I'm saying? L just wasn't with it. He wasn't with it. He kind of had fear on him. So I was like, all right, well, look, L, bro, I'm about to get ready to go back to New Orleans, bro. I gotta go back to New Orleans. Sorry, bro. I gotta go back to New Orleans, bro. I gotta roll out. I gotta roll out, bro. I appreciate everything you done for me. And I told L, I said, L, I appreciate everything you done for me, bro. And I'm very thankful and grateful, but I have a purpose to fulfill. I'm out. So next thing you know, I booked my plane ticket. I rolled out, and L dropped me off at the airport. Flew back to the NO. Flew back to New Orleans. And when I flew back to New Orleans, me and Jacoby, man, you know what I'm saying? Me and Jacoby hooked up. I got back to that street ball stuff, you know what I'm saying? Got back to all that. Got back to recording music in the studio for Jesus Kingdom. The whole thing. And then, after that, you know what I'm saying? Me and Kobe went to grinding. You know, we went to grinding harder. Next thing you know, the people at Rucker Park in New York, the people at Rucker Park in New York got a hold of me because my tape was that popular in New Orleans. Like my street ball tape was that popular in New Orleans. The people in New York at Rucker Park they got a hold of me. The guy that was running the Rucker Park tournaments at the time, his name was Greg Marius. The guy that was running the Rucker Park tournaments at that time was Greg Marius. So, you know, Greg Marius got in touch with me, man. We talking on the phone. He watched my tape. You know, that's how much my tape was floating, bro. Like my tape was like my tape was really, really buzzing. Like my street ball tape was really, really buzzing. Greg Marius of Rucker Park in New York got a hold of my tape. You know what I'm saying? Called me on the phone, we talking, and he was like, come out here and play. Come out here to Rucker Park. Now, for all of you all who don't know about Rucker Park is the most famous street ball court in New York City. Really? I keep it real with you. Rucker Park is the most famous basketball court in the U.S. alone. Rucker Park is the most famous basketball court in the U.S. alone. Trust me on this. Ain't no other park that's more popular than Rucker Park. Rucker Park, all of the NBA legends play there. Everybody played there. I'm talking about from Kobe Bryant to Kevin Durant, Allen Iverson, all of the N1 street ball legends. Like Rucker Park is the most popular park throughout the U.S. off the rip. And Greg Marius invited me to come out there and play. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, you come out here, Rucker Park, come out here to New York. Man, I went. I caught a plane ticket. I went my butt out there. I went out there to Rucker Park off the rip because I always wanted to see that park and I always wanted to play at that park. I went out there, man. I went out there, played in that park. And I'm not gonna lie, that was like a street ball dream for me to come true. Because every real street baller, they dream of playing at Rucker Park. And I went there. I stepped foot on that court. I was out there at Rucker Park. And that's how all that stuff went down. Man. You know what I'm saying? Off the rip. You know, left school, went back to New Orleans, man, Kobe grinding again. Next thing you know, I'm at Rucker Park, playing at Rucker Park. A dream come true. I jumped on that plane. I was out. I wasn't playing, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's how all that went down. So, after the Rucker Park thing and all of that, went back to New Orleans, you know, everything going good, man. Me and Jacoby, we grinding with the tapes more. You know, we just on a roll, man. Like when I tell y'all we rolling, man. People coming to the park just to watch us play. We signing autographs, you know what I'm saying? Like I had already made the Channel 4 news off of the street ball stuff. Everything is just rolling, man. And Jacoby ended up getting a movie role with Clifton Powell in this movie that they was filming in New Orleans called Block Party. You all can look it up. You know what I'm saying? Jacoby ended up getting a movie role with actor Clifton Powell in a movie in New Orleans called Block Party. You know what I'm saying? And Jacoby had one role with Clifton Powell. He had one role with him. Everything rolling. Jacoby doing this movie thing. We got the street ball stuff moving. Everything is just off the chain. I started going with this chick named Notatious. This chick name was Notatious. I mean, I'm gonna keep it a buck. That's a stripper name. I remember when I met her at the park. I remember when I met Notatious at the park. You know what I'm saying? I was like, what's your name? And this girl told me her name was Notatious. I'm like, Notatious? I'm like, that's a stripper name. This girl was fine. I keep it a buck with y'all. This girl was fine. Notatious was brown skinned, and that girl had a big booty. She was fine. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. That girl was fine. I ended up having sex with Notatious at her people's house. Like one day she called me and she wanted me to come over. You know, and Notatious, her family lived around the park. She wanted me to come over. So Jacoby went with me. I was like, yo, Kobe, she want me to come over, bruh. Just roll with me so you can watch out just in case our people come home. So I went to Notatious' house and Jacoby was just basically watching out in the front while I'm in the room having sex with her just in case our people come home. You know what I'm saying? I said, I need you to watch out for me, bro, just in case our people come home. She basically snuck me in her house and me and her was having sex. That girl was fine. Notatious was fine, and me and her ended up, you know, breaking up or whatever like that. And next thing you know, man, this dude, I call this dude a real clown. His name was Tremaine. Tremaine, he lived around Horton Park with us. He lived around the park with us. He lived in the neighborhood with us. And he would always be at the park playing street ball and stuff with us. Tremaine got jealous because my street ball tape had gained so much success, and we went to making money off of the DVDs and everything. Tremaine found out we was on the news, you know what I'm saying? He found out Jacoby had got a movie role with Clifton Powell. You know, he found out my street ball tape was making money. And this dude basically came in my face trying to bully me some type. You know, he came in my face on some bully type stuff. And I was like, is this dude serious? This dude basically came in my face talking about he wanted money from the tape because he was on it. And I'm like, bruh, you didn't put up no money to make these tapes. You didn't put up no money to buy the camera recorder. You didn't put up no money to make the DVDs or the picture covers for the tape, everything. All of that came out of Tireo's pocket. All of that came out of my pocket. Every dollar that I put into the street ball tape, that came out of my pocket. From the picture covers to getting it on DVD. Like, I mean, everything. Me and Jacoby was splitting the money because that was me and Jacoby's company. That was me and his thing. So me and Jacoby was hustling the tapes. Me and Jacoby was hustling the tapes. We was selling the tapes. And we was splitting the money because that was our stuff. This dude Tremaine came in the park talking reckless, man. I guess he called himself trying to punk me, but it didn't work. And then when he realized I wasn't afraid of him, he backed off. And then after that, man, I was planning on killing this dude after that. Like, after that went down, I was literally planning on killing this dude, man. I was literally going to get a gun. And I was going to catch this dude slipping at nighttime and kill this dude. Yeah, like, I'm being real. I literally had a conspiracy on, like, trying to kill this dude because he was trying me. He was testing me. And I'm like, bro, I'm out here doing everything the legal way. I'm not selling drugs. I'm not selling dope. I'm not selling weed. I'm out here making money off my street ball tape that I put money into. And you're going to come in my face and pull this, talking about I need to give you half of the money because you on the tape. Are you crazy, bro? I put the money up for all that, not you. So you don't get nothing. That's mine. That's my tape. That's me and Jacoby stuff. So, man, I had plans on really getting rid of this dude, man. I had plans on killing this dude. Jacoby was scared for him because Jacoby knew I was serious. And I told Kobe, I said, Kobe, I'm gonna kill this dude, bro. Jacoby got really, really afraid of the dude because Jacoby never saw me like that. He never saw me turn into that type of person. You know what I'm saying? So Jacoby was scared for the dude. But I let it ride. Bruh. I let it ride. I said, you know what, bruh? I ain't gonna sweat it because we already blessed. We already successful. We're making money off the tape. You know, it's all good. I let it ride. But I had real plans on really like killing that dude. I already had the conspiracy on him already. I was already gonna get rid of him. All I had to do was just get my hand on the gun at that time. Cause at that time, and see, here's another thing. At that time of my life, y'all, I wasn't even into guns at this time. I was into my street ball thing, going to the studio, recording my music for Jesus, just doing my thing. I'm doing all positive stuff. So at this time of my life, I wasn't even into the gun world like that. But I knew where to go get it. I knew how to get access to it. But yeah, I let it ride. I just basically just let it ride, bro. I was really about to get rid of this dude. And then once all of that faded away, it got even more crazier, because once all of that faded away, you know what I'm saying? It just got bad. And at that time, it just got really, really bad. It got really bad, man, because it was this chick that lived right around the corner from me and Jacoby. And we used to call her Lady. You know what I'm saying? That's what everybody called her in the neighborhood. We all called her Lady. She'll be outside kicking it with her friends, her cousins, you know what I'm saying? And she'll even be at the park watching us play street ball and stuff. And we all called her Lady. Man, come to find out, Lady got killed. Lady got murdered, man. Somebody broke in her house and strangled her to death. I don't know if it was her boyfriend or a little young dude she was going with. I don't know, man. But the girl, and y'all, and I'm gonna keep it real. At this time, the girl probably was, I think Lady was in junior high. I think Lady was like in junior high school at the time. I think that girl was probably in like the 7th grade. You know, and we'll always see her at the park. She'll be at the park, you know, or she'll be outside her house hanging with her cousins or whatever like that. Next thing you know, Jacoby hits me with the news. He like, T, bro, you ain't ready for this. I'm like, what you mean I'm not ready for this? What happened now? Because every time, it always was something. You know, it just always was something popping up. He was like, you ain't ready for this. I'm like, what happened, bro? Just hit me with it. He said, man, Lady died. I'm like, what? He said, Lady died. I'm like, what happened, bro? And they was basically saying that they found her dead in her house. And her parents, nobody was there. So I'm thinking, I think maybe her boyfriend killed her, something like that. But somebody killed her, man. They strangled her to death. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be real. The girl had a lot of boyfriends too. That was another thing too. She had a lot of boyfriends that would just be by her house. You know, she was into, man. She, you know, and I'm not saying that she was fast, but she had a lot of boyfriends. And I honestly think that one of her boyfriends got rid of her and just choked her to death. And they never found the killer. They never found the killer, man. They never found the killer. Sad story. So rest in peace, Lady, man, because they never found the dude that killed her. Rest in peace, Lady. So next thing you know, man, Hurricane Katrina hits New Orleans. Hurricane Katrina hit. Hurricane Katrina was a prophetic prophecy that was spoken to me, and that was spoken to a lot of other spiritual people in New Orleans. Hurricane Katrina hit. When Hurricane Katrina hit, it was a nightmare for people. But for me, Hurricane Katrina was my freedom out of New Orleans. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. I'm keeping it real. Hurricane Katrina was my freedom and my ticket out of New Orleans. God had already told me that he was going to destroy New Orleans because he was tired of all of the murder that was going on down there, because New Orleans was just filled with murder. I mean, black on black crime, drug selling, you know, blacks killing each other. New Orleans was filled with murder. And God spoke to me. He spoke to me and said, Tireo, I am going to destroy New Orleans. I'm going to destroy it. So when Hurricane Katrina hit, I was already happy. I'm just going to keep it real with you. When Hurricane Katrina hit, I was already happy. I was excited, and I stayed there to see it. I stayed there. Yes, I was there. I stayed there to see it. I wanted to see the whole thing for myself because I knew I was never coming back to New Orleans after this. And I tell you no lie, when the water was coming in the city, it felt like the world was ending. It was terrifying. You got to think about it. The like, it's pitch black. You got to think about it. It's pitch black, and all you can hear is heavy wind and rain, and all the power is off. And you can hear the water coming up the streets. And that was my meal ticket. And you all know the story of Hurricane Katrina. Y'all know about all of the people that died in it. Y'all know about the dead bodies. Y'all know about the whole thing. When I tell y'all it went down, it went down. Dudes was shooting at police officers. You had dead bodies floating in water. You had alligators eating on dead bodies because the alligators came into the city from the water. I mean, you had snakes in the water. You had nutria rats. I mean, it was bad. Dudes was even raping chicks in Hurricane Katrina. Chicks was getting raped and killed. It was bad. Dudes was even killing each other in the middle of Hurricane Katrina. Like, it was that bad. It was that bad. Yeah, and I was down there to see it all. I'm telling y'all no lie. It was real. I stayed there because I wanted to see it for myself. And I made it out in one piece. You know what I'm saying? I made it out in one piece. But I can't speak for everybody else that experienced Hurricane Katrina. I don't know their situation, but for my situation, I made it out in one piece. And I was happy. I was actually happy when Hurricane Katrina happened, because it was already spoken to me from God that God was going to destroy the city, because the city was cursed. And a lot of people don't understand that. New Orleans was under a curse. New Orleans was under a heavy curse from God. New Orleans was under a curse, and the city had to be purified. It had to be cleansed. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that was my freedom out, because I always wanted out of New Orleans. I used to always tell God, get me out of New Orleans, man. Get me out of New Orleans. Get me out of New Orleans. Make the way. And God made the way. Through Hurricane Katrina, he made the way off the rip. And you know what I'm saying? After that, what happened was the buses was taking certain people from New Orleans to Atlanta, and certain people was being led to Texas. You know what I'm saying? Because the buses had to come get everybody and get them out the city during the hurricane. So I happened to get on the bus that took me to Texas, and my family was already in Texas. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I connected with them. I connected with my family, you know what I'm saying, after I got on the bus, and the bus took me to Texas. And you had other families that was being led to Atlanta, but I was on a bus that was being led to Texas off the rip. And that's how I connected with my family, and that's how I saw them in Texas after the hurricane. So after that, what happened was my family got settled in Texas after the hurricane. My family got settled in Texas, and Jacoby family, I think they was in another state as well. Jacoby family was in another state. So what happened was I basically connected with Jacoby. And I was like, bruh, Joseph is in Atlanta. Joseph and them is in Atlanta. So at the time, you know what I'm saying, Joseph was around this woman named Trinice. And what happened was, I was like, well, Colby, you could come with me, because I'm gonna go to Atlanta. I'm gonna go out there to Atlanta and be around, you know, Joseph and Trinice. So Jacoby went with me. We went to Atlanta. We out there grinding. We staying by Trinice's house. We out there doing our thing. We in the studio. We performing at talent shows and stuff. We grinding for Jesus. Me and Kobe grinding for Jesus in Atlanta. We doing our thing. Everything cool. And next thing you know, man, Joseph started hating. You know, he was jealous because of the fact that me and Jacoby was out there in Atlanta doing our own thing, and people was really rocking with us. People was like really rocking with me and Jacoby in Atlanta. So Joseph was jealous, and then that's when Joseph went to put in his little fake stunts. You know what I'm saying? And we got away from him. You know, like me and Jacoby got away from him, and I went back to Texas. And I think at this time, New Orleans had opened back up. New Orleans was opened back up from the hurricane. So I went back to Texas, and Jacoby went back to New Orleans with his people. You know what I'm saying? So that's how all that happened. And then after that, as I went back to Texas, you know what I'm saying, doing my thing, Jacoby out there in New Orleans, that's when I ran into this girl named Ashley. That's when I ran into Ashley. I met Ashley in the mall. Ashley was a blood gangster. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was different for me. You know, this was different for me. Because I remember when I was a kid, I went with Raven, and Raven was like really, really about that street stuff. But Ashley was on another level with it. You know, she was a blood, and she was rolling with these chicks, man, in Texas, and they all was bloods. Ashley was a straight up gangster. Ashley was a straight up gangster. I ain't even gonna lie. And the crazy part about it was I had Jesus, right? I already had Jesus. I'm following Jesus, doing my thing for Jesus. I hook up with Ashley, this girl of blood. She told me she was a blood in the whole nine. And I still hooked up with her. And me and her was going together for a minute. That was the crazy part. Me and Ashley was going together for a minute. And I was like, I can't believe I'm going with a blood. You know, I can't believe I'm going with a blood. I was going with her for a minute. And me and Ashley, we did have sex. We had sex. Me and Ashley had sex. I had sex with a blood while I'm following Jesus. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't gonna lie. Girl was real. Girl was into her street gangster stuff. I mean, you name it, they did it. Y'all know what bloods do. Y'all know what people in gangs do. You know what I'm saying? From the fights to the stabbings to the shootings. Y'all know how them real gangster girls get down, you know? And I was going with her at the time. I had sex with Ashley one time. We only did it one time. I had sex with Ashley one time. Yeah, and after me and her had sex, you know, we stayed going together for a minute, and then after that we just like kind of just drifted apart. You know what I'm saying? We kind of just like drifted apart. But girl was a gangster, man. Girl was like really, really with it. You know, I mean, when I was around her, you know, I mean, no chicks played with her. You know, I'm just keeping it a buck. Like when I was around Ashley, no females, like no chicks played with her or nothing. You know, and Ashley would tell me these stories. I mean, this girl had stories for days. She would tell me these stories how they jumped this chick and this chick got stabbed and this chick got shot and all this street gangster stuff that she was into. And I just listened. And the thing about it with me, I never judged her. I never judged Ashley because I came from the street life too. I came from that world. And I think that's what kind of drew me to her. And I wanted to go with her at that point in my life because I came from that world. You know what I'm saying? I came from that world in New Orleans, so I wasn't about to judge her. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't about to judge her. But I always used to tell Ashley, like, Ashley, you gotta slow down, man. Take it easy, you know, blah, blah, blah. You gotta change. So I did reach out to her, of course. And she slowed down. And she changed, like, really. So I'm happy that I reached her. I'm happy that I reached the girl. She really slowed down and she started changing. Yeah, but I mean, before she met me, girl was on a different type time. You know what I'm saying? They was just wilding, you know, and that's how all that went down. Yeah, and after that, you know, me and her kind of went our separate ways and drifted apart. Yeah. And as I'm doing my thing in Texas, you know, after the hurricane and the whole nine with my family being out there in Texas and stuff like that, you know, I wanted to go visit my Uncle Demone because my Uncle Demone had life in prison. And Demone been in prison. He been in prison ever since I was in elementary school. They gave him life. They basically gave Demone life for not snitching. At this time, you know, when Damone got arrested, I was in elementary school when Damone got arrested. Damone was going with my auntie named Keisha. And
Damone been in jail. He been in prison ever since I was in elementary school. He been in there for a long time. They gave him life for not snitching. And I went to go visit him. As you all see the picture on the screen, this is a picture of me visiting Damone when he was in jail, because, you know, when you have life like that, they basically just ship you to different prisons in the US. And what happened was they shipped him to a prison. They shipped him to a prison that happened to be in Texas. And in Texas, that's where we was after Hurricane Katrina. So I went to visit him. You know what I'm saying? I went to visit him. Me and my cousin Demisha, which is his daughter, we went to go visit Damone. Yeah, and you know, I wrote Damone in prison, and Damone wrote me back, and I was like, you know, put my name on a visiting list. I want to come see you, and I went to see him. Yeah, I went to see him, and this is the real picture that y'all see of me visiting Damone while he was in prison in Texas. Yeah, we talked in the whole nine, man. You know what I'm saying? It's my uncle. You know, this is my uncle right here who has life in prison. And we talked about Jesus and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like literally. And he told me, you know, he appreciate me for coming to visit him and chop it up with him and talk to him and the whole nine. And looking at my uncle's Damone situation of him having life in prison, I tell y'all no lie. When I went to visit Damone, when I went to see him in prison, Damone, when he came out, the dude had so much peace on him. The dude had so much peace on him, like, it just was crazy. And when I saw him, I'm like, yo, he's locked up in prison for life. And Damone had more peace on him than people in the real world did. Now, this dude got life in prison, and he had more peace on him than people have in the real world. And that just tripped me out. I'm like, dang, this dude got life in prison, and he coming out here in total peace. Like, dude had peace, man. Dude had peace. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I honestly thought dude was gonna come out looking stressed, depressed, hurt, miserable. Man, this dude came out in total peace, bro. And it tripped me out because when I looked at Damone's situation of him having life in prison, and I looked at people's situation in the real world, this dude got more happiness and joy than them. I'm like, these people in the real world stressing over nonsense. This dude has life in prison, and he has more peace and happiness than them. That right there alone just tripped me out, man. That right there alone just tripped me out. And I'm really, really thankful and glad that I went to see him. I'm really thankful and glad that I went to see him in prison, you know, because it showed me something. It showed me that people in the real world can be in a worse prison than him. And that's what it showed me. When I saw him come out, and, you know, we sat down at the table and we talked and stuff, it showed me that people in the real world are more stressed out and miserable than him. And this dude is in prison and got life. And this dude got more peace than people in the real world. That tripped me out, man. So much love and much respect to my uncle Damone, man. I'm very thankful and grateful that I had the opportunity to go visit him while he had life in prison and talk to him. And we talked about Jesus. We talked about God, the whole nine, man. I'm very, very, very thankful that I went to go see him, man. So shout out to my uncle Damone, who has life in prison, and may Jesus be with you, brother. And then, you know what I'm saying? And then I'm out here in Texas with my family. I'm doing my thing. So what happened was, I'm passing out my CDs and stuff, you know, because I used to always go to the mall and just pass out my CDs. I used to always go to this one mall at the time called Sharptown Mall. And I would always go out there passing out my music, blah, 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 you know, just grinding for Jesus. And one day I gave my CD to this guy. And he told me he knew Beyonce's mom. So when I gave my CD to this guy, he listened to my CD and he said, I know Beyonce's mom. I'm like, what? So next thing you know, the dude just wrote Beyonce's mama
number on a paper. He wrote Beyonce mama number on the paper. He gave me her number and he said, call her. And I'm like, are you serious, bro? I'm like, that's Beyonce's mom, bro. Like, I don't know about this one, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, them people might, you know, like, that's her cell number, bro. You know what I'm saying? He like, look, call her. I'm like, I don't know. So I ain't gonna lie, I was nervous. I was nervous to call Beyonce's mom because, you know, not everybody can have access to them people's personal cell phone numbers like that. So I'm thinking, man, this woman might call the police on me, saying I'm stalking her, harassing her. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, I got this woman's personal cell phone number, blah, blah, blah. So I'm nervous. So he gave me her number and he said, call her, bro. He said, your music is hot, call her. I called her. But I ain't gonna lie, it took me probably a couple days to call her. I didn't call her right away. I had to think on that. I'm gonna tell you, I had to think on that. I'm gonna be real with you. I had to think on that. I told Jacoby about it, and Jacoby was even kind of shaking up. I was like, Kobe, this dude, bro, that I was passing out my CDs to, he just gave me Beyonce mama's cell phone number, bro, just wrote it down and said, call her. So I'm like, I don't know, bro, should I call her? And Jacoby like, man, bruh. You know, Jacoby used to always be like, man, I don't know, bruh. And I'm like, I'm going to call her, bruh. The hell with it. I'm going to just take the chance and call her. So I called her. I called Beyonce. I called Beyonce mom's number. I called the cell number. Beyonce mom picked up the phone. She was like, hello. And I was like, is this Beyonce's mom? And she was like, yeah, who's this? And I was like, my name Tireo. You know, I introduced myself. I was like, my name Tireo, and I was passing out my CDs in the mall out here in Houston. And, you know, this guy wrote down your number and, you know, he told me to call you. You know what I'm saying? And send you my music and stuff. She was cool with it. That was the whole funny part about it. I thought she was going to be on some stuck up Hollywood celebrity type stuff, but the woman was really, really down to earth. And the woman was really, really cool, man. She didn't come at me crazy. She didn't say nothing crazy. She didn't call the police on me. None of that stuff. Man, this woman gave me an address and said, send me your music. She said, send me your music and I'm going to send it to my husband, Matthew. And at this time, this was before her and Matthew had got the divorce. This was before her and Matthew got the divorce. So she gave me this address to send my music to. I packaged everything up. I had my CD in there. I had my pictures in there. I packaged everything up. I sent it to her. And she got it. And when she got the package and stuff, she called. She called me back. And the woman was really like fighting. She was basically fighting for me to get a deal with Beyonce's dad. You know what I'm saying? This was before they divorced. She was basically fighting for me to get a music deal with Beyonce's dad. But at that time, Beyonce's dad was on some other stuff. I'ma just be real with you. This dude was on some other stuff. This dude was just on some weird other stuff. So the deal didn't go through. You know what I'm saying? The deal didn't go through. He was on some weird other stuff. But overall, Beyonce's mom was cool. I mean, this woman would always call my phone, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, hey, Tiara, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. You know, she really was trying to get me my real first major deal. She was trying to get me my first major deal, but the deal didn't go through. But the deal didn't go through because, you know, Matthew was just on some other stuff at that time, you know, it's just the truth. You know what I'm saying? But overall, woman was cool. Woman was down to earth, cool, real. You know, she wasn't even on that stuck up Hollywood bougie celebrity stuff. None of that stuff, man. I don't got nothing bad to say about Beyonce's mom, Miss Tina. Woman was real. You know, like, woman was fighting for me to get my first record deal, like my first major record deal, just off the rip. So shout out to Beyonce's mom, man, for you know, fighting for me and trying her best to get me my first major record deal in the whole nine. Woman was real. I honestly thought the woman was gonna be on some other stuff, but she wasn't. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't. The woman would call the phone all the time. You know what I'm saying? Talking to me. One time I was on the phone with her while she was walking the red carpet with Destiny's Child. Like, I can hear in the background fans screaming, taking pictures. And she was like, yeah, I'm on the red carpet with Destiny Child right now. And I'm like, what? This woman was on a red carpet with Destiny Child on the phone with me. I'm tripping off this stuff. I'm like, man, this stuff crazy, man. And yeah, that's really what happened. That's actually how it happened. Like, the woman was really trying to fight for me to get my first major deal. She was, but the deal didn't go through, and that's what happened. So shout out to Beyonce's mom, Miss Tina, man. She's a real one, off the rip. And the fallout of me and Jacoby, of how our friendship went left. We was in New York. We was in New York City. It was me, Jacoby, and Lamorton. We took a trip to New York. And at this time, this was when Lamorton was pregnant with Lil Tireo. She didn't have Lil Tireo yet. She was pregnant with Lil Tireo. And me, Jacoby, and Lamorton, we hopped in a rental car, and we took a trip to New York. You know, we just, like I said, we was grinding for Jesus. We was grinding. We took a trip. We took a trip to New York City. We in a rental. We grinding for Jesus' kingdom. And I mean, Jacoby just got to a point in his life to where I think Jacoby was just tired of just following the rules of God. I think Jacoby had got to a point in his journey and in his walk to where he just was tired of following the rules of God, you know. And it happens, you know. I mean, it happens. People get tired of God. They get tired of following God. They get tired of obeying God. You know, they just get tired of the rules because God comes with a lot of restrictions. And I think that Jacoby was just done with just listening to God and trying to obey God. And, you know, we got into it, you know what I'm saying? I saw it one way and he saw it another way, you know? And Jacoby was really, really attached to the streets. Jacoby was really, really attached to the streets. He loved the streets, man. He loved the streets. And he cannot let them streets go. For some reason, Jacoby could not let them streets go. And I told Kobe, I was like, Kobe, I'm not going to mess up my purpose and my walk with God for nobody. Like Jacoby, he already knew me. He knew how I roll. I used to always tell him, Jacoby, I will cut anybody off to continue my purpose for Jesus. I used to always tell him that, Jacoby, you got to go to the end. I would always tell him that, Jacoby, I'm going to the end. I'm going to the end. I will always tell him I'm going to the end, and I will never let nobody stop my journey with Jesus. And when we got into it, I had to cut him off because Jacoby was at a point of his life to where, you know, he just wasn't trying to hear God. He wasn't trying to obey God. He wanted to do things his way. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't with all that. I wasn't with all that because I saw a bigger vision with God. I saw a bigger vision. So we ended up just getting into it in New York City. It was me, him, it was me, him, and Lamorton. And at this time, Lamorton was pregnant with Lil Tireo. So we all in New York, me and him getting into it. And I was like, all right, Kobe, bro, we got to go our separate ways, bro. You know what I'm saying? You're not trying to really listen to me no more. You're not really trying to follow Jesus' path like how you used to. You know, you just on your rebellious stages, bro. So I said, all right, bro, I got to go my way and you got to go your way. So what happened was we separated. Our friendship fell apart and we separated. You know what I'm saying? Me and Lamorton went back. Me and Lamorton went back to Texas, and Jacoby went back to New Orleans. That's what happened. We separated. And at that time, when Jacoby went back to New Orleans, it got worse for him. He went to jail. He ended up getting in all that street stuff, and he went to prison. That's right. That's what happened. But I told him that was going to happen. I said, Jacoby, it's either two things that's going to happen to you. You either going to get killed in the streets or you going to jail. I told him that. I said, you either going to get killed in the streets or you going to jail. And he went to jail. But I already knew that was going to happen because he didn't have God's protection and he didn't have God's guidance anymore. I already knew that. He wasn't covered. He wasn't covered under God anymore. So when me and Lamorton went back to Texas, you know, she had Lil Tireo and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? She gave birth to Lil Tireo. And Jacoby went back to New Orleans and he went to jail. And that's how our friendship fell apart. You know what I'm saying? But
I mean, me and him cool now. Yeah, like we cool now. We patched everything up, but that was the past. We patched everything up, but we cool now. But shout out to Jacoby, man. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't want him to go through that, but he had to see it for himself. He had to see it for himself. I didn't want him to go through that because I used to always want him and tell him, but you know how it is, man, when you're dealing with hard-headed people. They have to see things for themselves. So much love to Jacoby, and I'm glad that he saw it for himself. I'm glad that he had to learn the way that he learned because he get it now. He know it's serious, and I still love Jacoby like a brother till this day. I'm never gonna stop rocking with Kobe, and I'm never gonna stop loving Jacoby. But that's what happened. You know what I'm saying? So there it is, man. And at this time of my life, I'm grinding for Jesus Christ. I'm doing my thing. And this is when I met Lil Tiario's mom, Lamorton. I met her in Texas. I met her in Texas in the shopping mall. I met Lamorton in Sharp Towns Mall in Texas. Yeah, I'm just walking around, doing my thing. And I met Lamorton, and after I met Lamorton, you know what I'm saying? Me and her, we hooked up. Me and Lamorton hooked up. I brought her in Jesus' kingdom, and Lamorton came into Jesus' kingdom. She literally came into Jesus' kingdom, and Lamorton got in her purpose. When I met Lamorton, me and her hooked up. She comes into Jesus' kingdom. She got spiritual, following Jesus the whole nine. You know what I'm saying? We doing everything together. We grinding for Jesus Christ. We passing out flyers in the mall. In the morning, the funny part about it too, the morning was in the studio with me when I met 10 Plus. I met 10 Plus after I met Lamorton. Me and Lamorton was grinding, doing our thing, and that's how I met 10 Plus. I met 10 Plus grinding in the streets of Texas with Lamorton. Lamorton saw me record Jesus Walks mixtape songs. She was in the studio when I recorded every song for the Jesus Walks mixtape. Yeah, she was in the studio when I recorded the Jesus Walks mixtape. You know what I'm saying? We passing out flyers in the mall. We just grinding. We grinding for Jesus' kingdom. We had Lil Tireo. You know what I'm saying? And we just doing our thing, man. We grinding for Jesus' kingdom. We doing our thing. We reaching people for Jesus' kingdom, and the whole nine, man. The whole nine. And that's how I met Lamorton. I met her in the mall, and I helped her come into Jesus' kingdom. I helped her get saved from hell. And everything just went from there. We had Lil Tireo. We went out of town. You know what I'm saying? We went to New York City. The whole nine, man. We just was on the grind. We was on the grind for Jesus' kingdom, man. And that's what all spiritual followers of God do. They come into the kingdom, get on the grind, and just go through it. We paid our dues, man. We lived in apartments together. We grind. We paid our dues. We paid our dues in the spirit realm. We grinding, paying bills, surviving, the whole nine. Had Lil Tireo, the whole nine, man. So much love to Lamorton. Much love to her, man, because that's Lil Tiareo's mom. And Lamorton she's always going to be in my life. She's always going to have a special place in my life in the whole nine. You know what I'm saying? And I'm very, very, very thankful of the fact that she came into Jesus' kingdom. Because that's what matters the most. That's what matters the most. She came into Jesus' kingdom. And I'm very, very thankful for that. Off the rip. She came into Jesus' kingdom, got saved from hell. She's spiritual, man. Lamorton went on 40-day fast with me and everything, off the rip, man. So I'm very, very thankful for that. I'm very thankful that I met Lamorton, that we went through everything that we went through in Jesus' kingdom, from the grinding to having Lil Tireo, just the whole nine, fasting together, just the whole nine, man. I'm very, very thankful and appreciative, man. So much love to Lamorton, man. Off the rip. And then after all of that, after I go through all of that, now that's when I decided to get on YouTube
and load up my videos on YouTube and stuff like that. And that's when I came into the YouTube world off the rip.